Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to you wherever you are in the world, and welcome to The Show Must Go Online. I'm Robert Miles, actor, writer, director, and creator of the Shakespeare Deck. Every week, a global cast and crew of all levels of experience donate their time and talent freely as part of a mission to create Shakespeare for everyone, for free, forever, every Wednesday night. Tonight's reading of Measure for Measure will commence in approximately 15 minutes' time. Content warnings for this show include individual and institutional acts of oppression, sexual harassment, abuse, and allusions to childbirth. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, remembering to hit, of course, the bell icon to receive all notifications, and remember to follow us at TSMG Online Live on Twitter or at The Show Must Go Online on Insta and Facebook. And if you really enjoy the show tonight, please consider either donating to our Patreon page, where you can support all the actors and creatives who take part via our Opt-in Hardship Fund, or even get yourself some lovely merch from our Redbubble store. There are links to both of those in the description of this video. And now, to introduce tonight's play, brought to us, as always, by the incredible Ben Crystal, it's Dr. Carla Della Gatta. Dr. Carla Della Gatta is Assistant Professor of English at Florida State University. She writes about Shakespeare, Latinx theatre, and LGBTQ theatre. She received the J. Leeds Barrell Dissertation Prize from the Shakespeare Association of America in 2016 for her dissertation on Shakespeare and Latinidad, exploring how Latinx culture is constructed in contemporary performance. Dr. Della Gatta, the play is Measure for Measure, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Rob, for that kind introduction. I also wish to thank Ben Crystal for his generosity and to the actors for giving themselves and their time to this performance. I love this play because it is about a society where the laws don't work for everyone. They seem to only apply to a few. And a woman who is confronted with harassment must decide for herself her interpretation of ethics and morals. This is a problem play, which means it has historically been a problem for scholars to classify, and it wasn't discussed much in my undergraduate courses. It's the last comedy that Shakespeare writes, and following Twelfth Night, it centers a female protagonist whose person has caused an unintentional and problematic attraction. Early modern comedies involve people from different classes interacting, typically for comic effect. Measure for Measure includes a clown, the owner of a brothel, and a lot of deceit, but it is not all humorous. Nobody dies on stage, and there is the promise of marital unions in the end, though the audience will feel ambivalent about them. Measure for Measure opens with the Duke, who decides to leave Vienna, and he assigns the best-known man of the law, Angelo, to take his place while gone. He leaves the city he governs because he has let the laws slip over the last 14 years. Angelo enforces the laws that the Duke has not, and he has Claudio arrested for impregnating his fiancée, Juliet. This was a crime to have sex outside of wedlock, and for that, Claudio is sentenced to death by beheading. Claudio reports that his sister Isabella is about to become a nun, and he sends a messenger, Lucio, to tell Isabella of his plight and argue for his freedom. We see the Duke with a friar confessing the problems that his inability to do his job has caused for the city, and he asks the friar to lend him a disguise as a friar so that he may interact with his citizens. Lucio, acting as a messenger for Claudio, tells Isabella of her brother's fate and that Angelo is using him as an example of law and order. Isabella, who's not quite yet a nun, may visit with men for that reason. Angelo and the other officers have a long exchange, and then Isabella visits with Angelo to seek mercy for her brother. Isabella begs for leniency for her brother, and Angelo agrees, but only if she'll sleep with him. She is astounded and says that she will tell others of his true character, and he responds, "Who will believe thee, Isabel?" This moment, the realization that as a woman without power that she will not be believed by society, sets much of the tone for the remainder of the play. Angelo gives her time to think the offer over, and she has to debate for herself if she will sacrifice her chastity to save her brother's life. She declines and visits her brother in jail. The scene between them, when she tells him of the one possible option to spare his life, plays out different ideas about what we might sacrifice, and perhaps even for whom. The Duke, disguised as a friar, is privy to this conversation, and he tells them that Angelo previously was engaged to a woman named Mariana, who lost her dowry, so Angelo left her. The Duke suggests a bed trick, that Isabella tell Angelo she will sleep with him, but they'll substitute Mariana. And so after Angelo beds Mariana, he will be obligated to marry her. This sets the plan in motion, and it works, except that Angelo, unsurprisingly, still orders Claudio's execution, and the Duke in disguise again suggests duping Angelo. They present the head of another prisoner to prove that Claudio has been killed. The play has a number of short scenes, creating a fast pace with shifts in character focus and culminating in the final act, which only has one scene where everybody and everything gets sorted out. Perhaps this is the true staging of justice, putting everyone in a room together and admitting your actions before the community. But at the play's end, the unions may not exactly be the recompense for any crimes or lies. So some themes to look out for. There is a running emphasis on what is meant by justice and mercy, very prescient topics for our time. You will hear these words often in the play. Measure for Measure has the most instances of each of the words, virtue, justice, and mercy in the entire Shakespearean canon. Note how each character uses these words differently and when and how. Quite unique to the Shakespearean canon, the title of the play comes from a passage from the Bible. And with whatever measure you measure, it will be measured to you. This combines ideas of religion with jurisprudence, questioning where do we get our personal moral code and how does this differ from the ethics within our community? And we question, what is the worst crime a person can commit? The Duke suggests deception of his own laws, right? And makes his own lawman Angelo into a lawbreaker and seems most upset by the false statements that Lucio makes about him. Isabella will give her life, but not her chastity to save her brother. And Mariana will participate in committing a wrong to someone who has wronged her, and so that the ends can justify the means. This also brings up the question of forgiveness and what the legal system allows. Who are the laws for? There's another prisoner named Barnardine, who is notably unable to be executed in jail because he has not repented. We see Angelo enforce the laws that he clearly violates, the hypocrisy that we see quite often in our society, even still today. The Duke suggests deceiving Angelo, and it works to get him to honor his promise to Mariana. And Angelo, the law and order man, falls for it. He proves again and again that he is not a man of his word or of the law, but he was known previously as the perfect person to uphold it. He mistakes Mariana for Isabella in bed, the head of the dead prisoner for Claudio, and he too is a substitute for the Duke in his absence, and the Duke is mistaken for a friar. This play makes me think about who is central in society. Everybody seems replaceable, and I began the introduction by stating that Isabella is the protagonist, and Shakespeare structures the play where we get to see and hear her deliberate about what she should do. But the Duke is in the play throughout, not as himself, and we get to see and hear a lot of Angelo, but he's just a faulty replacement for a faulty Duke. There are numerous references to money and brings up the idea of the transactional nature of crimes. Both the Duke and Isabella, in fundamentally different ways, retreat from society. The Duke leaves the society he governs and disguises himself, and Isabella attempts to become a nun. Note what people confide in each of them as figures of religious order and how each justifies their actions and functions in society. Also, we see Claudio in his first moment upset that he's being shown to the world on the city street after being arrested, asking to be taken into the prison away from public view for his incarceration and death. And he's separated for most of the play from his fiancée and society at large. The city scenes we have of Vienna mostly involve comedic characters who are part of the lower class, who actually feels as if they are part of this society and subjects to its laws, able to live up to and execute the laws. Isabella says she will expose Angelo, but in the fashion of the Me Too movement, we know that she won't be believed. In performance, the division between some of these characters becomes more apparent, as Angelo has chosen to break his vow to Mariana because she lost her dowry, and Juliet and Claudio cannot afford the cost of the marriage banns. Mistress Overdone and POMPEY are a bawd and a clown, respectively, and the class differences between these groups of characters becomes all the more apparent. My work on Latinx Shakespeares, on productions where Latinx culture is integrated into a Shakespearean play, has led me to view several productions in the last decade that have changed the socioeconomic division into a different type of cultural division as well. This is what I've termed the West Side Story effect, or the reinscribing of Shakespearean representations of difference of various kinds, class, locale, familial, as cultural linguistic difference. There have been several productions in which Isabella, Claudio, and Julieta, or Juliet, are Latinx, illustrating how laws are enforced more severely towards people of color, how ICE agents come for some and not for others, and how religious morals are valued by different groups. If the play is reset to a diverse society, these differences become more amplified when we see them and hear them in performance.
Thank you so much for that fantastic introduction, Carla. A wonderful preparation for our audience as they get ready to wrestle with this play's extraordinary themes and challenges. And now, Groundlings, our show is about to begin. So please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, post your reactions on social using the hashtag #ShowMustGoOnline, and prepare to engage with tonight's production of William Shakespeare's Measure for Measure. Act 1, Scene 1, Vienna, an apartment in the Duke's palace. Enter Duke, ESCALUS, lords, and attendants.
ESCALUS!
My lord.
Of government the properties to unfold would seem in me to affect speech and discourse. Our cities, institutions, and the terms of common justice, you're as pregnant in as art and practice hadn't reached any that we remember. There is our commission, from which we would not have you warp. Call hither, I say, bid come before us, Angelo. What figures think you he will bear? For you must know we have with special soul elected him, our absence to supply, lent him our terror, dressed him with our love, and given his deputation all the organs of our own power. What think you of it?
If any in Vienna be of worth to undergo such ample grace and honor, it is Lord Angelo.
Look where he comes.
Always obedient to your grace's will. I come to know your pleasure.
Angelo, there is a kind of character in thy life that to the observer doth thy history fully unfold. For if our virtues did not go forth of us, 'twere all alike as if we had them not. Hold therefore, Angelo, in our remove be thou at full ourself. Mortality and mercy in Vienna, live in thy tongue and heart. Old ESCALUS, thou first in question, is thy secondary. Take thy commission.
Now, good my lord, let there be some more test made of my mettle before so noble and so great a figure be stamped upon it.
No more evasion. We have with 11 and prepared choice proceeded to you. Therefore, take your honors. Our haste from hence is of so quick condition that it prefers itself and leaves unquestioned matters of needful value. We shall write to you as time and hour concerning shall importune how it goes with us, and do look to know what doth befall you here. So fare you well. To the hopeful execution do I leave you of your commissions.
Yet give leave, my lord, that we may bring you something on the way.
My haste may not admit it, nor need you on mine honor have to do with any scruple. Your scope is as mine own, so to enforce or qualify the laws as to your souls seems good. Give me your hand. I'll privily away. I love the people, but do not like to stage me to their eyes. Though we do well, I do not relish well their loud applause and aves vehement, nor do I think the man of safe discretion that does affect it. Once more, fare you well.
The heavens give safety to your purposes.
Lead forth and bring you back in happiness.
I thank you. Fare you well.
I shall desire you, sir, to give me leave to have free speech with you. And it concerns me to look into the bottom of my place. Power I have, but of what strength and nature I am not yet instructed.
Oh, 'tis so with me. Let us withdraw together, and we may soon our satisfaction have touching that point.
I'll wait upon your honor.
Exeunt. Act 1, Scene 2, Vienna, a street. Enter Lucio and 2 other gentlemen.
If the Duke with the other dukes come not to composition with the King of Hungary, Why then all the dukes fall upon the king.
Heaven grant us peace, but not the king of Hungary's.
Amen.
Thou concludest like the sanctimonious pirate that went to sea with the 10 commandments, but scraped one out of the table.
Thou shalt not steal?
Aye, that he raised.
Why, 'twas a commandment to command the captain and all the rest from their functions. They put forth to steal. There's not a soldier of us all that in the thanksgiving before meat do relish the petition well that prays for peace.
Behold, behold where Madam Mitigation comes.
I have purchased as many diseases under her roof as come
To what, I pray?
Judge.
To 3,000 dollars a year?
Why, and more.
A French crown more.
Thou art always figuring diseases in me, but thou art full of error. I am sound.
Nay, not as one would say healthy, but so sound as things that are hollow. Thy bones are hollow. Impiety has made a feast of thee.
How now, which of your hips has the most profound sciatica?
Well, there's one yonder arrested and carried to prison was worth 5,000 of you all.
Who's that, I pray?
Marry, sir, that's Claudio. Signor Claudio.
Claudio to prison? 'Tis not so.
Nay, but I know 'tis so. I saw him arrested, saw him carried away, and which is more, within these 3 days, his head to be chopped off.
But after all this fooling, I would not have it so. Art thou sure of this?
I'm too sure of it. And it is forgetting Madame Giulietta with child.
Believe me, this may be. He promised to meet me 2 hours since, and he was ever precise in promise-keeping.
Besides, you know, it draws something near to the speech we had to such a purpose.
But most of all agreeing with the proclamation.
Away, let's go learn the truth of it.
Thus, what with the war, what with the sweat, what with the gallows, and what with poverty, I am cussed and shrunk. How now? What's the news with you?
Yonder man is carried to prison.
Well, what has he done?
A woman.
But what is his offence?
Oh, you have not heard of the proclamation, have you?
What proclamation, man?
All houses in the suburbs of Vienna must be plucked down.
What should become of those in the city?
They shall stand for seed. They had gone down too, but that a wise burgher put in for them.
But shall all our houses of resort in the suburbs be pulled down?
To the ground, mistress.
Why, here's a change indeed in the Commonwealth. What should become of me?
Oh, come, fear not you. Good counselors lack no clients. Though you change your place, you need not change your trade. I'll be your tapster still. Courage. There will be pity taken on you. You that have worn your eyes almost out in the service, you will be considered.
What's to do here? Thomas Tapster. Let's withdraw.
Ah, here comes Signor Claudio, led by Provost to prison. And there's Madame Juliet.
Fellow, why dost thou show me thus to the world? Bear me to prison where I am committed.
I do it not an evil disposition, but from Lord Angelo by special charge.
Thus can the demigod authority will make us pay down for our offence by weight the words of heaven. On whom it will, on whom it will not, so. Yet still 'tis just.
Why, how now, Claudio? Whence comes this restraint?
From too much liberty, my Lucio. Liberty. As surfeit is the father of much fast, so every scope by the immoderate use turns to restraint. Our natures do pursue, like rats that raven down their proper bane, a thirsty evil. And when we drink, we die.
If I could speak so wisely under an arrest, I would send for certain of my creditors. And yet, to say the truth, I had as lief have the foppery of freedom as the morality of imprisonment. What's thy offense, Claudio?
What but to speak of would offend again.
What is murder?
No,
Lechery?
call it so.
Away, sir, you must go.
One word, good friend. Lucio, a word with you.
100 if they'll do you any good. Is lechery so looked after?
Thus it stands with me. Upon a true contract, I got possession of Julieta's bed. You know the lady, she is fast my wife. Save that we do the denunciation lack of outward order. This we came not to, only for propagation of a dower remaining in the coffer of her friends, from whom we thought it meet to hide our love till time had made them for us. But it chances the stealth of our most mutual entertainment, with character too gross, is writ on Juliet.
With child, perhaps.
Unhappily, even so. And the new deputy now for the Duke. Whether it be the fault and glimpse of newness, or whether that the body public be a horse whereon the governor doth ride, who newly in the seat, that it may know he can command, let it straight feel the spur. Whether tyranny be in his place, or in his eminence that fills it up, I stagger in. But this new governor awakes me all the enrolled penalties which have, like unscrewed armour, hung by the wall so long that 19 zodiacs have gone round, and none of them have been worn. And for a name, now puts the drowsy and neglected act freshly on me. It is surely for a name.
I warrant it is, and thy head stands so tickle on thy shoulders that a milkmaid, if she be in love, may sigh it off. Send after the Duke and appeal to him.
I have done so, but he is not to be found. I prithee, Lucio, do me this kind service. This sister on my day should the cloister enter, and there receive her approbation. Acquaint her with the danger of my state. Implore her, in my voice, that she make friends to the strict deputy. Bid herself assay him. I have great hope in that, for in her youth there is a prone and speechless dialect, such as move men. Besides, she hath prosperous art when she will play with reason and discourse, and she well can persuade.
I pray she may, as well for the encouragement of the like, which else would stand under grievous imposition, as for the enjoying of thy life, who I would be sorry should be thus foolishly lost at a game of tic-tac. I'll to her.
Thank you, good friend Lucio.
Within 2 hours.
Come, officer. Away.
Exeunt. Act 1, Scene 3, Vienna, a nunnery. Enter Isabel and Francisca, a nun.
And have you nuns no further privileges?
Are not these large enough?
Yes, truly. I speak not as desiring more, but rather wishing a more strict restraint upon the sisterhood, the vulturist of St. Clair.
How peace be in this place.
Who's that which calls?
'Tis a man's voice. Gentle Isabella, turn you the key and know his business of him. You may, I may not. You are yet unsworn. When you have vowed, you must not speak with men, but in the presence of the prioress. Then if you speak, you must not show your face. Or if you show your face, you must not speak.
Oh!
He calls again. I pray you answer him.
Peace and prosperity. Who's that calls?
Hail, Virgin! If you be, as those cheek roses proclaim you are no less, can you so stead me as bring me to the sight of Isabella, a novice of this place, and the fair sister to her unhappy brother, Claudio?
Why her unhappy brother? Let me ask. The rather, for I now must let you know, I am that Isabel and his sister.
Gentle and fair, your brother kindly greets you. Not to be weary with you, he's in prison.
Woe me! Why? What for?
For that which, if myself be his judge, he should receive his punishment in thanks. He hath got his friend with child.
Sir, make me not your story.
'Tis true. I would not, though 'tis my familiar sin with maids, to seem the lapwing and to jest, tongue far from heart, play with all virgins so. I hold you as a thing enskied and sainted by your announcement, an immortal spirit, and to be talked with in sincerity as with a saint. Shh.
You do blaspheme the good in mocking me.
Do not believe it. Fewness and truth, it is thus. Your brother and his lover have embraced. As those that feed grow full, as blossoming time that from the seedness the bare fallow brings to teeming foison, even so her plenteous womb expresseth his full tilth and husbandry.
Someone with child by him. My cousin Juliet.
Is she your cousin?
Adopted Lee, as schoolmates change their names by vein through apt affection.
She it is.
Oh, let him marry her.
This is the point. The Duke is very strangely gone from hence. Upon his place, and with full line of his authority, governs Lord Angelo, a man whose blood is very snow broth, one who never feels the wanton stings and motions of the sense, but doth rebate and blunt his natural edge with profits of the mind, study, and fast. He, to give fear to use and liberty, which have for long run by the hideous law as mice by lions, hath picked out an act, under whose heavy sense your brother's life falls into forfeit. He arrests him on it, and follows close the rigor of the statute, to make him an example. All hope is gone, unless you have the grace, by your fair prayer, to soften Angelo. And that's my pith of business twixt you and your poor brother.
Doth he seek his life?
Has censured him already, and as I hear, the provost hath a warrant for his execution.
Alas, what poor abilities in me to do him good?
Assay the power you have.
My power, alas, I doubt.
Our doubts are traitors, and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Go to Lord Angelo, and let him learn to know, when maidens sue, men give like gods, but when they weep and kneel, all their petitions are as freely theirs as they themselves would owe them.
I'll see what I can do.
But speedily.
I will about it straight, no longer staying but to give the mother notice of my affair. I humbly thank you. Commend me to my brother. Soon at night I'll send him certain word of my success.
I take my leave of you.
Good sir, adieu.
Exeunt severally. Act 1, Scene 4, Vienna, a monastery. Enter Duke and Friar Peter.
Oh, Holy Father, why I desire thee to give me secret harbour hath a purpose more grave and wrinkled than the aims and ends of burning youth.
May your grace speak of it?
I have delivered to Lord Angelo, a man of stricture and firm abstinence, my absolute power and place here in Vienna, and he supposes me travel to Poland, for so I have strewed it in the common ear, and so it is received. Now, pious sir, you will demand of me why I do this.
Gladly, my lord.
We have strict statutes and most biting laws, the needful bits and curbs to headstrong jades, which for these 14 years we have let sleep, even like an overgrown lion in a cave that goes not out to prey. Now, as fond fathers having bound up the threatening twigs of birch, only to stick it in their children's side for terror, not to use in time the rod, becomes more mocked than feared, so our decrees, dead to infliction, to themselves are dead. And liberty plucks justice by the nose, the baby beats the nurse, and quite athwart goes all decorum.
It rested in your grace to unloose this tied-up justice when you pleased, and it in you more dreadful would have seemed than in Lord Angelo.
I do fear too dreadful, sith 'twas my fault to give the people scope, 'twould be my tyranny to strike and gall them for what I bid them do. For we bid this be done, when evil deeds have their permissive past and not the punishment. Therefore, indeed, my father, I have on Angelo imposed the office, who may, in the ambush of my name, strike home, and yet my nature never in the fight to do in slander. and to behold his way, I will swear a brother of your order, with both prince and people. Therefore, I pray thee, supply me with a habit and instruct me how I may formally in person bear like a true friar. More reasons for this action at our more leisure shall I render you. Only this one. Lord Angelo is precise, stands at the gourd with envy, scarce confesses that his blood flows, or that his appetite is more to bread than stone. Hence shall we see if power change purpose, what our seamers be.
Exeunt. Act 2, Scene 1, a hall in Angelo's house. Enter Angelo, ESCALUS, and servants, Justice.
But my lord...
We must not make a scarecrow of the law, setting it up to fear the birds of prey and let it keep one shape, till custom make it their perch and not their terror.
Aye, but yet, let us be keen and rather cut a little than fall and bruise to death. Alas, this gentleman whom I would save had a most noble father.
Ha!
Let but your honour know, whom I believe to be most straight in virtue, that in the working of your affections had time cohered with place, or place with wishing, or that the resolute acting of your blood could have attained the effect of your own purpose, whether you had not sometime in your life erred in this point, which now you censure him, and pulled the law upon you.
'Tis one thing to be tempted, ESCALUS, another thing to fall. I not deny the jury, passing on the prisoner's life, may, in the sworn 12, have a thief or two guiltier than him they try. What's open made to justice, that justice seizes? What knows the laws that thieves do pass on thieves? 'Tis very pregnant, the jewel we find. We stoop and take because we see it. What we do not see, we tread upon and never think of it. You may not so extenuate his office, for I have had such faults. But rather tell me, when I that censure him do so offend, let mine own judgment pattern out my death, and nothing come impartial. Sir, he must die.
Be it as your wisdom will.
Where is the provost?
Here, if you like, your honour.
See that Claudio be executed by 9 tomorrow morning. Bring him his confessor, let him be prepared, for that's the utmost of his pilgrimage.
Well, heaven forgive him, and forgive us all. Some rise by sin, and some by virtue fall. Some run from breaks of vice and answer none, and some condemned for a fault alone.
Come, bring them away. If these be good people in a commonweal that do nothing but use their abuses in common houses, I know no law. Bring them away.
Now, sir, what's your name and what's the matter?
If it please your honour, I am the poor Duke's constable, and my name is Elbow. I do lean upon you just, sir, and do bring in here before your good honour 2 notorious benefactors.
Benefactors? Well, what benefactors are they? Are they not malefactors?
If it please your honour, I know not well what they are, but precise villains they are, that I am sure of, and void of all profanation in the world that good Christians ought to have.
This comes off well. Here's a wise officer.
Go to. What qualities are they of? Elbow is your name? Why dost thou not speak, Elbow?
He cannot, sir. He's out at elbow.
What are you, sir?
He, sir, a tapster, sir, parcel board, one that serves a bad woman, whose house, sir, was, as they say, plucked down in the suburbs, and now she professes a hot house, which I think is a very ill house too.
How know you that?
My wife, sir, whom I detest before heaven and your honour.
How? Thy wife?
I, sir, whom I thank heaven is an honest woman.
Dost thou detest her, therefore?
I say, sir, I will detest myself also, as well as she, that this house, if it be not a bawd's house, it is a pity of her life, for it is a naughty house.
How dost thou know that, constable?
Marry, sir, by my wife, who, if she had been a woman cardinally given, might have been accused in fornication, adultery, and all uncleanliness there.
By the woman's means?
Aye, sir, by Mistress Overdone's means. But as she spit in his face, so she defied him.
Sir, if it please your honour, this is not so.
Prove it before these varlets hear, thou honourable man. Prove it.
Do you hear how he misplaces?
Sir, she came in great with child and longing, saving your honour's reverence, for stewed prunes, sir. We had but 2 in the house, which at that very distant time stood, as it were, in a fruit dish. Some threepence, your honours have seen such dishes. They are not china dishes, but very good dishes.
Go to. No matter for the dish, sir.
Yeah, no, indeed, sir, not of a pin. You are therein in the right. But to the point, as I say, there's a Mistress Elbow being, as I say, with child and being great-bellied and longing, as I said, for prunes and having but 2 in the dish, as I said, Master Frost, yeah, this very man, having eaten the rest, as I said, and as I say, paid for them very honestly, for as you know, Master Frost, I could not give you the threepence again.
No, indeed.
Very well. You being, if you be remembered, cracking the stones of the aforesaid prunes with the few teeth that you have left.
So I did indeed.
Why, very well. I telling you that if you be remembered, that
you are
such a one and such a one were past cure of the thing.
You are a tedious fool. To the purpose. What was done to Elbow's wife that he hath cause to complain of? Come me to what was done to her.
Sir, your honour cannot come to that yet.
No, sir, I mean it not.
Sir, but you shall come to it by your honour's leave. And I beseech you, look into Master Frost here, sir, a man of 80 pounds a year, whose father died at Halamus. Was it not at Halamus, Master Frost?
All Hell and Eve.
Why, very well, I hope here be truths. He, sir, is sitting, as they say, in a lower chair, sir. 'Twas in the bunch of grapes, where indeed you have a delight to sit, have you not?
I have so, because it is an open room and it is good for winter.
Why, very well then, I hope here be truths.
This will outlast a night in Russia when nights are longest there. Oh, I'll take my leave and leave you to the hearing of the cause, hoping you'll find good cause to whip them all.
I think no less. Good morrow to your lordship. Now, sir, come on. What was done to Elbow's wife once more?
Once, sir? There was nothing done to her once.
I beseech you, sir, ask him what this man did to my wife.
I beseech your honour, ask me.
Well, sir, what did this gentleman to her?
I beseech you, sir, look in this gentleman's face. Good Master Frost, look upon his honour. 'Tis for a good purpose. Does your honour mark his face?
Aye, sir, very well.
Nay, I beseech you, mark it well.
Well, so I do.
Doth your honour see any harm in his face?
Why, no.
I'll be supposed upon a book his face is the worst thing about him. Good then, if his face be the worst thing about him, how could Master Frost do the constable's wife any harm? I would know that of your honour.
He's in the right, constable. What say you to it?
First, and it like you, this house is a respected house. Next, this is a respected fellow, and his mistress is a respected woman.
By this answer, his wife is a more respected person than any of us.
Varlet, thou liest! Thou liest, wicked varlet! The time is yet to come that she was ever respected with man, woman, or child.
Sure, she was respected with him before he married with her.
Which is the wiser here, justice or iniquity? Is this true?
O thou caitiff! O thou varlet! O thou wicked Hannibal! I respected with her before I married to her. If ever I was respected with her, or she with me, let not your worship think me the poor Duke's officer. Prove this, thou wicked Hannibal, or I'll have mine action of battery on thee.
If they took you a box of the ear, you might have your action of slander too.
Marry, I thank your good worship for it. What is your worship's pleasure I shall do with this wicked caitiff?
Truly, officer, because he has some offences in him that thou wouldst discover if thou couldst, let him continue in his courses till thou knowest what they are.
Marry, I thank your worship for it. Thou seest, thou wicked varlet, now what's come upon thee. Thou art to continue now, thou varlet, thou art to continue.
Where were you born, friend?
Here? In Vienna, sir?
Are you of 80 pounds a year?
Yes, and please you, sir.
So, what trade are you of, sir?
A tapster, sir, a poor widow's tapster.
Your mistress' name?
Mistress Overdone.
Hath she any more than one husband?
9, sir. Overdone by the last.
9? Come hither to me, Master Froth. Master Froth, I would not have you acquainted with tapsters. They will draw you, Master Froth, and you will hang them. Get you gone, and let me hear no more of you.
I thank your worship. For mine own part, I never come into any room in a tap house, but I'm drawn in.
Well, no more of it, Master Froth. Farewell. Come you hither to me, Master Tapster. What's your name, Master Tapster?
Pompey.
What else?
Bum, sir.
Truth. And your bum is the greatest thing about you, so that in the beastliest sense, you are Pompey the Great. Pompey, you are partly a bawd, Pompey. Howsoever you colour it in being a tapster, are you not? Come, tell me true, it shall be the better for you.
Truly, sir, I am a poor fellow that would live.
How would you live, Pompey? By being a bawd? What do you think of the trade, Pompey? Is it a lawful trade?
If the law would allow it, sir.
But the law will not allow it, Pompey, nor it shall not be allowed in Vienna.
Does your worship mean to geld and splay all the youth of the city?
No, Pompey.
Well, truly, sir, in my poor opinion, they will to it, then. If your worship will take order for the drabs and the knaves, you need not to fear the bawds.
There is pretty orders beginning, I can tell you. It is but heading and hanging.
If you head and hang all that offend that way, but for 10 years together, you'll be glad to give out a commission for more heads. If this law hold in Vienna 10 year, I'll rent the fairest house in it after threepence a bay. If you live to see this come to pass, say Pompey told you so.
Thank you, good Pompey. And in requital of your prophecy, hark you. I advise you, let me not find you before me again upon any complaint whatsoever. No, not for dwelling where you do. If I do, Pompey, I shall beat you to your tent and prove a shrewd Caesar to you. In plain dealing, Pompey, I shall have you whipped. So for this time, Pompey, fare you well.
I thank your worship for your good counsel. But I shall follow it as the flesh and fortune shall better determine. Whip me? No, no, let Carman whip his jade. The valiant heart's not whipped out of his trade.
Come hither to me, Master Elbow. Come hither, Master Constable. How long have you been in this place of constable?
7.5 years, sir.
I thought by the readiness in the office you had continued in it some time. You say 7 years together?
7.5, sir.
Alas, it hath been great pains to you. They do you wrong to put you so often upon it. Are there not men in your ward sufficient to serve it?
Faith, sir, few of any wit in such matters. As they are chosen, they are glad to choose me for them. I do it for some piece of money and go through with all.
Look you, bring me in the names of some 6 or 7, the most sufficient of your parish.
To your worship's house, sir?
To my house. Fare you well. What's o'clock, think you?
11, sir.
I pray you, home to dinner with me.
I humbly thank you.
It grieves me for the death of Claudio, but there's no remedy.
Lord Angelo is severe.
It is but needful. Mercy is not itself that oft looks so. Pardon is still the nurse of second woe. But yet poor Claudio. There is no remedy. Come, sir.
Exeunt. Act 2, Scene 2. Another room in Angelo's house. Enter Provost Angelo.
Now what's the matter, Provost?
Is it your will Claudio shall die tomorrow?
Did I not tell thee yea? Hast thou not order? Why dost thou ask again?
Lest I might be too rash. Under your good correction, I have seen when, after execution, judgment hath repent o'er his doom.
Go to. Let that be mine. Do you your office or give up your place. You shall well be spared.
I crave your honour's pardon. What shall be done, sir, with the groaning Juliet? She's very near her hour.
Dispose of her to some more fitter place, and that with speed.
Here is the sister of the woman condemned, desires access to you.
Hath he a sister?
Ay, my lord, a very virtuous maid, and to be shortly of a sisterhood, if not already.
Well, let her be admitted. See you the fornicatress be removed. Let her have needful, but not lavish means. There shall be order for it.
Safe, your honour.
Stay a little while. Oh, you're welcome. What's your will?
I am a woeful suitor to your honour. Please, but your honour hear me.
Well, what's your suit?
There is a vice that most I do abhor, and most desire should meet the blow of justice, for which I would not plead, but that I must, for which I must not plead, but that I am at war betwixt will and will not.
Well, the matter?
I have a brother condemned to die. I do beseech you let it be his fault and not my brother.
Heaven give thee moving graces.
Must he needs die?
Maiden, there's no remedy.
Oh, just severe law. I had a brother then. Heaven keep your honour.
Lift not or so to him again, entreat him. Kneel down before him, hang upon his gown, you are too cold. To him, I say.
Yet I do think that you might pardon him, and neither heaven nor man grieve at the mercy.
I will not do it.
But can you if you would?
Look, what I will not, that I cannot do.
But might you do it and do the world no wrong? If so, your heart would touched with that remorse of as mine is to him.
He's sentenced, 'tis too late.
You are too cold.
Too late? Why no. I that do speak a word may call it back again. Well, believe this, no ceremony to great ones longs, not the king's crown, nor the depute's sword, the marshal's truncheon, nor the judge's robe, become them with one half so good a grace as mercy does.
Pray you be gone.
I would to heaven I had your potency, and you were Isabel. Should it then be thus? No. I would tell thee what were to be a judge, and what a prisoner.
Aye, touch him, there's the vein.
Your brother is forfeit of the law, and you but waste your words.
Alas, alas! Why, all the souls that were forfeit once, and he that might have vantage best of took, found out the remedy. How would you be if he, which is the top of judgment, should but judge you as you are? Oh, think on that. And mercy then would breathe within your lips like man new made.
Be you content, fair maid. It is the law, not I, condemn your brother. Were he my kinsman, a brother, or my son, it should be thus with him. Your brother dies tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Oh, that's sudden. Spare him, he's not prepared for death. Even for our kitchens, we kill the fowls of season. Bethink you, who is it that have died for this offence? There's many have committed it.
Aye, well said. The law hath not been dead, though it hath slept. Those many that had not dared to do that evil, if the first that did the edict infringe had answered for his deed. Now 'tis awake, takes note of what is done, and like a prophet, looks in a glass that shows what future evils to be hatched are now to have no successive degrees, but ere they live, to end.
Yet show some pity.
I show it most when I show justice. For then I pity those I do not know, which a dismissed offence would after gall, and do him right that, answering one foul wrong, lives not to act another. Be satisfied. Your brother dies tomorrow. Be content.
So you must be the first that gives this sentence and he that suffers. Oh, it is excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant.
That's well said.
Could great men thunder, as Jove himself does? Jove would never be quiet, for every pelting petty officer would use his heaven for thunder, nothing but thunder. Merciful heaven, thou rather with thy sharp and sulphurous bolt splits the unwedgeable and gnarled oak than the soft myrtle. But man, proud man, dressed in a little brief authority, most ignorant of what he's most assured, his glassy essence, like an angry ape, plays much fantastic tricks before high heaven, as makes the angels weep.
Oh, to him, when she will relent, he's coming, I perceive.
Pray heaven she win him.
Why do you put these sayings upon me?
Because authority, though it err like others, hath yet a kind of medicine in itself that skins the vice over the top. Go to your bosom, knock there, and ask your heart what it doth know that's like my brother's fault. If it confess a natural guiltiness such as is his, let not a sound a thought upon your tongue against my brother's life.
She speaks, and 'tis with such sense that sense breeds within it. Very well.
Gentle, my lord, turn back.
I will bethink me. Come again tomorrow.
How I'll bribe you. Good, my lord, turn back.
How? Bribe me?
Aye, with such gifts that heaven shall share with you.
Oh, you had marred all else.
Not with tested gold, but with true prayers that shall fly up to heaven and enter there ere sunrise. Prayers from preserved souls, from fasting maids whose minds are dedicate to nothing temporal.
Well, come to me tomorrow. Go to, 'tis well. Away.
Heaven keep your honour safe.
Amen. For I am that way going to temptation where prayers cross.
At what hour tomorrow shall I attend your lordship?
Any time forenoon.
Save your honour.
From thee, even from thy virtue. What's this? What's this? Is it her fault or mine? The tempter or the tempted who sins most? Well, not she, nor doth she tempt, but it is I that, lying by the violet in the sun, do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous season. Can it be that modesty may more betray our sense than woman's lightness? Having waste ground enough, shall we desire to raise the sanctuary and picture evils there? Oh, fie, fie, fie. What dost thou? Or what art thou, Angelo? Dost thou desire her foully for those things that make her good? Well, let her brother live. Thieves for the robbery have authority when judges steal themselves. What, do I love her? That I desire to hear her speak again? Feast upon her eyes? What is thy dream on? A cunning enemy, that to catch a saint with saints doth bait thy hook. Most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad us on to sin in loving virtue. I mean, never could the strumpet with all her double vigour, art and nature once stir my temper, but this virtuous maid subdues me quite. Ever till now, when men were fond, I smiled, and wondered how.
Exit. Act 2, Scene 3, a room in a prison. Enter Duke disguised as a friar and Provost meeting.
Hail to you, Provost. So I think you are.
I'm the Provost. What you will, good friar?
Bound by my charity and my blessed order, I come to visit the afflicted spirits here in the prison. Do me the common right and to let me see them and to make me know the nature of their crimes, that I may minister to them accordingly.
I would do more than that if more were needful. Look, here comes one. A gentlewoman of mine who, falling in the philosopher her youth, hath blistered her report. She's with child, and he that got it sentenced. A young man more fit to do another such offence than die for this.
When must he die?
I do think tomorrow. I have provided for you. Stay a while, and you shall be conducted.
Repent, you fair one, of the sin you carry?
I do, and bear the shame most patiently.
I'll teach you how you shall arraign your conscience and try your penitence, if it be sound or hollowly put on.
I'll gladly learn.
Love you the man that wronged you?
Yes, as I love the woman that wronged him.
So then it seems your most offenseful act was mutually committed.
Mutually.
Then was your sin of heavier kind than his?
I do confess it, and repent it, father.
'Tis made so, daughter, but less you to repent, as that the sin hath brought you to the shame, which sorrow is always toward ourselves, not heaven.
I do repent it, as it is an evil, but I take the shame with joy.
There rest. Your partner, as I hear, must die tomorrow. And I am going with instruction to him. Grace go with you. Benedicere.
Must die tomorrow? Oh, injurious love. Oh, injurious love that respites me a life whose very comfort is still a dying horror.
Pity for him.
Exeunt. Act 2, Scene 4, a room in Angelo's house. Enter Angelo.
When I would pray and think, I think and pray to several subjects. Heaven hath my empty words, whilst my invention, hearing not my tongue, anchors on Isabel. Heaven in my mouth, as if I did only but chew his name, and in my heart, the strong and swelling evil of my conception. The state whereon I studied is like a good thing being often read, grown sere and tedious. Yea, my gravity wherein, let no man hear me, I take pride. Could I with boots change for an idle plume which beats the air with vain? O place, O form, how often dost thou with thy kiss, thy habit, wrench all from fools and tie the wiser souls to thy false ceiling?
One Isabel, a sister, desires access to you.
Teach her the way. Oh, heavens! Oh, why does my blood thus muster to my heart, making both it unable for itself and dispossessing all my other parts of necessary fitness? Well, so play the foolish throngs with one that swoons. Come all to help him, and so stop the air by which he should revive. How now, fair maid?
I am come to know your pleasure.
That you might know it would much better please me than to demand what is. Your brother cannot live.
Even so, heaven keep your honour.
Yet may he live a while, and it may be as long as you or I, yet he must die.
Under your sentence?
Yea.
When, I beseech you, that in his reprieve, longer or shorter, he may be so fitted that his soul sicken not.
Ha! Fie these filthy vices. It were as good to pardon him that from nature stolen a man already made, as to remit their saucy sweetness that do coin heaven's image in stamps that are forbid.
'Tis set down so in heaven, but not in earth.
Say you so? Then I shall pose you quickly. Which had you rather? That the most just law now took your brother's life, or to redeem him, give up your body to such sweet uncleanness as she that he hath stained?
Sir, believe this. I'd rather give my body than my soul.
I talk not of your soul. Our compelled sins stand more for numbers than for account.
How say you?
Oh, no, I'll not warrant that, for I can speak against the thing I say. Answer to this. I, now the voice of the recorded law, pronounce a sentence on your brother's life. Might there not be a charity in sin to save this brother's life?
Please you to do it. I take it as a peril to my soul. It is no sin at all, but charity.
Please you to do it at peril of your soul were equal poise of sin and charity.
That I do beg his life, if it be sin, heaven let me bear it. You granting of my suit, if that be sin, I'll make it my morn prayer to have it added to the faults of mine, and nothing of your answer.
Nay, but hear me. Your sense pursues not mine. Either you are ignorant or seem so craftily, and that's not good.
Let me be ignorant and in nothing good, but graciously to know I am no better.
Thus wisdom wishes to appear most bright when it doth tax itself, as these white masks proclaim an enshielded beauty 10 times larger than beauty could displayed. But mark me, to be perceived plain, I'll speak more gross. Your brother is to die.
So?
And his offences, so as it appears, accountant to the law upon that pain.
True.
Admit no other way to save his life, as I subscribe not that nor any other, but in the loss of question, that you, his sister, finding yourself desired of such a person, whose credit with the judge, or own great place, could fetch your brother from the manacles of the all-binding law, and that there were no earthly mean to save him, but that either you must lay down the treasures of your body to this supposed, or else to let him suffer. What would you do?
As much for my poor brother as myself. That is, were I under the terms of death, the impression of keen whips I'd wear as rubies, and strip myself to death as to a bed that longing have been sick for, ere I yield my body up to shame.
Well, then must your brother die.
And 'twere the cheaper way. Better it were a brother dead at once, than a sister by redeeming him should die forever.
Were you not then as cruel as a sentence that you have slandered so?
Ignominy and ransom and free pardon are of two houses. Lawful mercy is nothing akin to foul redemption.
You seemed of late to make the law a tyrant, and rather proved the sliding of your brother a merriment than a vice.
Oh, pardon me, my lord, it offals out. To have what we would have, we speak not what we mean. I sometimes do excuse the thing I hate for vantage that I dearly love.
We are all frail.
Just let my brother die, if not a Federy, but only he. Oh, and succeed thy weakness.
Nay, women are frail too.
Aye, as the glasses where they view themselves, which are as easy broke as they make forms. Women help heaven, men their creations mar in profiting by them, nay, call us 10 times frail, for we are soft as our complexions are and credulous to false prints.
I think it well. And from this testimony of your own sex, since I suppose we are made to be no stronger than faults may shake our frames, let me be bold. I do arrest your words. Be that what you are. That is a woman. If you be more, you're none. If you be one, as you are well expressed by all external warrants, show it now by putting on the destined livery.
I have no tongue but one, gentle my lord. Let me entreat you speak the former language.
Plainly conceive, I love you.
My brother did love Juliet, and you tell me that he should die for it.
Well, he shall not, Isabel. If you give me love.
I know your virtue hath little license in't, which seems a little fouler than it is, to pluck on others.
Believe me, on mine honour, my words express my purpose.
Little honour to be believed, but most pernicious purpose, scheming. I will proclaim thee, Claudio. Angelo, look for it. Sign me a present pardon for my brother, or with an outstretched throat I'll tell the world aloud what man thou art.
Who will believe thee, Isabel? My unsoiled name, the austereness of my life, my vouch against you, and my place in the state will so your accusation overweigh that you shall stifle in your own report smell of calumny. I have begun, and now I give my sensual race the rein. Fit thy consent to my sharp appetite, lay by all nicety and prolixious blushes that banish what they sue for. Redeem thy brother by yielding up thy body to my will, or else he must not only die the death, but thy unkindness shall his death draw out to lingering sufferance. Answer me tomorrow, or by the affection that now guides me most, I'll prove a tyrant to him. As for you, say what you can. My false outweighs your true.
To whom should I complain? Did I tell this, who would believe me? Oh, perilous mouths that bear in them one and the same self-tongue, either of condemnation or of proof. Bidding the law makes curtsy to their will, hooking both right and wrong to the appetite, to pull as it draws. I'll to my brother. Though he hath fallen by promptu of the blood, yet he hath in him such a mind of honour, that had he 20 heads to tender down on 20 bloody blocks, he'd yield them up before his sister should. But her body stooped to such a horrid pollution. Then Isabel live, chaste, and her brother die. More than our body, more than our brother is our chastity. I'll tell him yet of Angelo's request, and fit his mind to death for his soul's rest.
Exit. Act 3, Scene 1, a room in the prison. Enter Duke disguised as a friar, Claudio, and Provost.
So then you hope of pardon from Lord Angelo?
The miserable have no other medicine, but only hope. I have hope to live, and I'm prepared to die.
Be absolute for death. Either death or life shall thereby be the sweeter. Reason thus with life. If I do lose thee, I do lose a thing that none but fools would keep. A breath thou art, servile to all the sky influences that dost this habitation where thou keepest hourly afflict. Merely thou art death's fool, for him thou labourst by the flight to shun, and yet runs toward him still. Thou art not noble, for all the accommodations that thou bearest are nest by baseness. Thou art by no means valiant, for thou dost fear the soft and tender folk of a poor worm. Thy best is of rest is sleep, and that thou oft provokes, yet grossly fears, thy death which is no more. Thou art not thyself, for thou exists on many 1,000 grains that issue out of dust. Happy thou art not, for what thou hast not, still thou strivest to get, and what thou hast, forgettest. Thou art not certain, for thy complexion shifts to strange effects after the moon. If thou art rich, thou art poor, for like an ass whose back with ingots bows, thou bearest thy heavy riches but a journey, and death unloads thee. What's yet in this that bears the name of life? Yet in this life lie hidden more 1,000 deaths, yet death we fear that makes these odds all even.
I humbly thank you. To sue, to live, I find I seek to die. And seeking death, find life. Let it come on.
What ho! Peace here, grace and good company.
Who's there? Come in, the wish deserves a welcome.
Dear sir, ere long I'll visit you again.
Most holy sir, I thank you.
My business is a word or two with Claudio.
And very welcome. Look, Signor, here's your sister.
Provost, a word with you.
As many as you please.
Bring me to hear them speak, where I may be concealed.
Now, sister, what's the comfort?
Why, as all comforts are, most good indeed. Lord Angelo, having affairs to heaven, intends for you his swift ambassador. Therefore your best appointment, made with speed, tomorrow you set on.
Is there no remedy?
None, but such remedy as to save a head to cleave a heart in twain.
But is there any?
Yes, brother, you may live. There is a devilish mercy in the judge, if you'll implore it, that will free your life, but fetter you till death.
Perpetual durance.
Aye, just perpetual durance. Restraint, though all the world vastity had to determine scope.
But in what nature?
In such a one as you consent into would bark your honour from that trunk you bear and leave you naked.
Let me know the point.
Oh, I do fear thee, Claudio, and I quake, lest thou a feverous life shouldest entertain, and 6 or 7 winters more respect, a perpetual honour, darest thou die. The sense of death is most in apprehension, and the poor beetle that we tread upon in corporal sufferance finds a pang as great as when the giant dies.
Why give you me this shame? Think you I can resolution fetch from a flowery tenderness? If I must die, I will encounter darkness as a bride, and hug it in mine arms.
There spake my brother. There my father's grave did utter forth a voice. Yes, thou must die. Thou art too noble to conserve a life in base remedies. This outward painted deputy, whose settled visage and deliberate word nips the youth in the head, is yet a devil. His filth within being cast would appear a pond as deep as hell.
Princely Angelo.
If I would yield him my virginity, thou mightest be free.
Oh heavens, it cannot be.
Yes, he would give of thee from this rank offence, so to offend him still. This night's the time that I should do what I abhor to name, or else thou diest tomorrow.
Thou shalt not do it.
Oh, were it but my life, I throw it down for your deliverance as frankly as a pin.
Thanks, dear Isabel.
Be ready, Claudio, for your death tomorrow.
Yes. Has he affections in him that thus can make him bite the law by the nose when he would force it? Sure it is no sin, or of the deadly 7 it is the least.
Which is the least?
If it were damnable, he being so wise, why would he, for the momentary trick, be perfidiably fined? Oh, Isabel!
What says my brother?
Death is a fearful thing.
A shameful life, a hateful.
Aye, but to die, and go we know not where, to lie in cold obstruction and to rot, this sensible, warm motion to become a kneaded clod, delighted spirit bathe in fiery floods, or to reside in thrilling region of thick-ribbed ice, to be imprisoned in the viewless winds and blown with restless violence round about the pendant world, or to be worse than worst of those that lawless and uncertain thought imagine howling. Oh, it's too horrible. The weariest and most loathed worldly life that age, ache, penury, and imprisonment can lay on nature is a
paradise to what we fear of death.
Alas, alas.
Sweet sister, let me live. What sin you do to save a brother's life? Nature dispenses with the deed so far that it becomes a virtue.
Oh, faithless coward! Wilt thou be made a man out of my vice? 'Tis not a kind of incest to take life from thine own sister's shame. What should I think? Die, perish! Might but my bending down reprieve thee from thy face, it should proceed. I'll pray 1,000 prayers for thy death, not word to save thee.
Nay, hear me, Isabel.
Fie, fie, fie! Thy sins, not accidental, but a trade. Mercy to thee would prove itself abhorred. 'Tis best that thou diest quickly.
Hear me, Isabella.
Vouchsafe a word, young sister, but one word.
What is your will?
Might you dispense with your leisure, I would by and by have some speech with you. The satisfaction I would require is likewise your own benefit.
I have no superfluous leisure. My stay must be stolen out of other affairs, but I will attend you a while.
Son, I have overheard what hath passed between you and your sister. Angelo had never the purpose to corrupt her, only have made an essay of her virtue to practice his judgment with the disposition of natures. She, having the truth of honor in her, hath made him that gracious denial which he is most glad to receive. I am confessor to Angelo, and I know this to be true. Therefore, prepare yourself to death. Do not satisfy your resolution with hopes that are fallible. Tomorrow you must die. Go to your knees and make ready.
Let me ask my sister pardon. I'm so out of love with life that I will sue to be rid of it.
Hold you there. Farewell. Provost, a word with you.
What's your will, father?
That now you're come, you will be gone. Leave me a while with the maid. My mind promises with my habit no loss shall touch her by my company.
In good time.
The hand that hath made you fair hath made you good, and grace being the soul of your complexion shall keep the body of it ever fair. The assault that Angelo hath made to you, fortune hath conveyed to my understanding, and but that frailty hath examples of his falling, I should wonder at Angelo. How will you do to content his substitute and to save your brother?
I am now going to resolve him. I had rather my brother die by the law than my son should be unlawfully born. But oh, how much is the good Duke deceived in Angelo! If ever he return, and I can speak to him, I will open my lips in vain or discover his government.
Fasten your ears on my advisings. To the love I have in doing good, a remedy presents itself. I do make myself believe that you may most uprighteously do a poor wronged lady a merited benefit. Redeem your brother from the angry law, do no stain to your own gracious person, and much please the absent Duke, if peradventure he shall ever return to have hearing of this business.
Let me hear you speak further. I have spirit to do anything that appears not foul in truth of my spirit.
Virtue is bold, and goodness never fearful. Have you not heard speak of Mariana, the sister of Frederick, the great soldier who miscarried at sea?
I have heard of the lady, and good words went with her name.
She should this Angelo have married, was affianced to her by oath, and the nuptial appointed, between which time of the contract and limit of the solemnity her brother Frederick was wrecked at sea, having in that perished vessel the dowry of his sister. There she lost a noble and renowned brother, with him the portion and sinew of her fortune, her marriage dowry, with both her combinate husband, this well-seeming Angelo.
Can this be so? Did Angelo leave her?
Left her in her tears, and tried not one of them with his comfort. Swallowed his vows whole, pretending in her discoveries of dishonor. In few, bestowed her on her own lamentation, which she yet wears for his sake, and he, A marvel to her tears, is washed with them, but relents not.
What corruption in this life that it will let this man live?
It is a rapture that you may easily yield, and the cure of it not only saves your brother, but keeps you from dishonor in doing it.
Show me how, good father.
The forenamed maid hath yet in her the continuance of her first affection. His unjust unkindness that in all reason should have quenched her love, hath, like an impediment in the current, made it more violent and unruly. Go you to Angelo, answer his requiring with a plausible obedience. Agree with his demands to the point, only that your stay with him may not be long, that the time may have all shadow and silence in it, and the place answer to convenience. This being granted in course, and now follows all, which advise this wrong maid to go to your place. If the encounter acknowledge itself hereafter, it may compel him to her recompense, and here by this is your brother saved, your honor untainted, the poor Mariana advantaged, and the corrupt deputy scaled. If you think well, the doubleness of the benefit defends the deceit from reproof. What think you of it?
The image of it gives me content already, and I trust it will grow to the most prosperous perfection.
It lies much in your holding up. Haste you speedily to Angelo. If for this night he entreat you to his bed, give him promise of satisfaction. I will presently to St. Luke's, there resides this dejected Mariana. At that place call upon me and dispatch with Angelo, that it may be quickly.
I thank you for this comfort. Fare you well, good father.
Exeunt. Manet Duke. Act 3, Scene 2, the street before the prison. Enter Elbow and Clown Pompey.
Nay, if there be no remedy for it, but that you will needs buy and sell men and women like beasts, we shall have all the world drink brown and white bastard.
Oh heavens, what stuff is here?
'Twas never merry world since of two usurers the merriest was put down, and the worser allowed by order of law a furred gown to keep him warm.
Come your way, sir. Oh, bless you, good friar.
And you, good brother, father, what offence hath this man made you, sir?
Oh, marry, sir, he hath offended the law. And, sir, we take him to be a thief too, sir, for we have found upon him, sir, a strange picklock, which we have sent to the deputy.
By Sirrah, a bawd, a wicked bawd, the evil that thou causest to be done, that is thy means to live. Do thou but think what is to cram a maw or cloth a bag from such a filthy vice. Say to thyself, from their abominable and beastly touches, I drink, I eat, array myself, and live. Canst thou believe this living is a life so stinkingly dependent? Go mend, go mend.
Indeed, it does stink in some sort, sir, but yet, sir, I would prove to you.
Nay, if the devil have given thee proofs for sin, thou wilt prove his. Take him to prison, officer. Correction and instruction must both work, either this rude beast will profit.
He must before the deputy, sir. He has given him warning. The deputy cannot abide a whoremaster.
That we were all, as some would seem to be, free from all faults, as faults from seeming free.
His neck will come to your waist. A cord, sir.
I spy comfort, I spy bail. Here's a gentleman and a friend of mine.
How now, Pompey? What? Art thou led in triumph? What? Is there none of Pygmalion's images, newly made woman to be had now for putting the hand in the pocket and extracting it clutched? Ha! What sayest thou, Trot? Is the world as it was, man? Which is the way? Is it sad in few words? Or how? The trick of it?
Still thus, and thus, still worse.
Art going to prison, Pompey?
Yes, faith, sir.
Why, 'tis not amiss, Pompey. Farewell. Go. Say I sent thee thither. For debt, Pompey, or how?
For being aboard. For being aboard.
Well, then imprison him. If imprisonment is the due of a bawd, why then 'tis his right. Bawd he is, doubtless, and of antiquity too. bawd born. Farewell, good Pompey. Commend me to the prison, Pompey. You will turn good husband now, Pompey. You will keep the house.
Yeah, I hope, sir, your good worship will be my bail.
No, indeed, will I not, Pompey. 'Tis not the wear. I will pray, Pompey, to increase your bondage. If you take it not patiently, why, your mettle is the more. Adieu, trusty Pompey. Bless you, Friar.
And you?
Come your way, sir. Come.
You will not bail me then, sir?
Then, Pompey, nor now. What news abroad, Friar? What news?
Come your way, sir. Come.
Go to kennel, Pompey, go.
Oh.
What news, Friar, of the Duke?
I know none. Can you tell me of any?
Some say he is with the Emperor of Russia. Others some he is in Rome. But where is he, think you?
I know not where, but wheresoever I wish him well.
It was a mad, fantastical trick of him to steal from the state and usurp the beggary he was never born to. Lord Angelo dukes it well in his absence. He puts transgression to it.
He does well in it.
A little more lenity to lechery would do no harm in him. Something too crabbed that way, Friar.
It is too general a vice, and severity must cure it.
Yes, in good sooth, the vices of a great kindred, it is well allied, but it is impossible to extirpate quite, Friar, till eating and drinking be put down. They say this Angelo was not made by man and woman after this downright way of creation. Is it true, think you?
How should he be made then?
Some report a sea maid spawned him. Some that he was begot between two stockfishes. But it is certain that when he makes water, his urine is congealed ice. That I know to be true. And he is emotion generative. That's infallible.
You're pleasant, sir, and speak apace.
Why, what a ruthless thing is this in him for the rebellion of a codpiece to take away the life of a man. Would that the Duke that is absent, would he have done this? Ere he would have hanged a man for the getting 100 bastards, he would have paid for the nursing 1,000. He had some feeling of the sport. He knew the service, and that instructed him to mercy.
I never had the absent Duke much detected for women. He was not inclined that way.
Oh, sir, you are deceived.
It is not possible.
Who? Not the Duke? Yes. Your beggar of 50. And his use was to put a ducat in her clack dish. He would be drunk, too. That let me inform you.
You do him wrong, surely.
Sir, I was an inward of his. A shy fellow was the Duke. And I believe I know the cause of his withdrawing.
What, I pray thee, might be the cause?
No, pardon. 'Tis a secret must be locked within the teeth and the lips. But this I can let you understand. The greater file of the subject held the Duke to be wise.
Wise? Why, no question but he was.
A very superficial, ignorant, unweighing fellow.
Either this is envy in you, folly, or mistaking. Let him be but testimony in his own bringings forth, and he shall appear to the envious, a scholar, a statesman, and a soldier. Therefore, you spill unskillfully, or if your knowledge be more, it is much darkened in your malice.
Sir, I know him, and I love him.
Love talks with better knowledge, and knowledge with dearer love.
Come, sir, I know what I know.
I can hardly believe that, since you know not what you speak. But if ever the Duke return, as our prayers are he may, let me desire you to make your answer before him. If it be honest you have spoke, you have courage to maintain it. I am bound to call upon you, and I pray you your name.
Sir, my name is LUCIO, well known to the Duke.
He shall know you better, sir, if I may live to report you.
I fear you not, but no more of this. Canst thou tell if Claudio die tomorrow or no?
Why should he die, sir?
Why? For filling a bottle with a tundish. If the Duke we talk of were returned again, I would he were. This ungenitured agent will unpeople the province with continency. Sparrows must not build in his house eaves because they are lecherous. The Duke yet would have dark deeds darkly answered. He would never bring them to light. Would he were returned! Marry, this Claudio is condemned for untrussing. Good friar, I prithee, pray for me. The Duke, I say to thee again, would mouth with a beggar, though she smelt brown bread and garlic. Say that I said so. Farewell.
No might nor greatness in mortality can censure escape. Back wound in calumny, the whitest virtue strikes. What king so strong can tie the gall up in the slanderous tongue? But who comes here?
Go away with her to prison.
Good my lord, be good to me. Your honour is accounted a merciful man. Good my lord.
Double and treble admonition, and still forfeit in the same kind. This would make mercy swear and play the tyrant.
A ward of 11 years continuance, may it please your honour.
My lord, this is one Lucio's information against me. Mistress Kate Keepdown was with child by him. In the Duke's time, he promised her marriage. His child is 1.25 years old, come Philip and Jacob. I have kept it myself. And see how he goes about to abuse me.
That fellow is a fellow of much license. Let him be called before us. Away with her to prison. Go to no more words.
No!
Provost, my brother Angelo will not be altered. Claudio must die tomorrow. Let him be furnished with divines and have all charitable preparation. If my brother wrought by my pity, it should not be so with him.
So please you, this friar hath been with him, and advised him for the entertainment of death.
Good even, good friar.
Bliss and goodness to you.
Whence are you?
Not of this country, though my chance is now to use it for my time. I'm a brother of gracious order, late come from the sea, in special business from His Holiness.
What news abroad in the world?
None, but that there is so great a fever and goodness that the dissolution of it must cure it. There is scarce truth enough alive to make society secure, but security enough to make fellowships accursed. Much upon this riddle that runs the wisdom of the world. This news is old enough, yet it is every day's news. I pray you, sir, of what disposition was the Duke?
One that, above all other strifes, contended especially to know himself.
What pleasure was he given to?
Rather rejoicing to see another marry than marry at anything which professed to make him rejoice. A gentleman of all temperance. But leave we him to his events with a prayer they may prove prosperous. And let me desire to know you, how you find Claudio prepared. I am made to understand you have lent him visitation.
He most willingly humbles himself to the determination of justice, yet hath he framed to himself many deceiving promises of life, which I, by my good leisure, have discredited to him, and now he is resolved to die.
I have labored for the poor gentleman to the extremest shore of my modesty, but my brother Justice have I found so severe that he hath forced me to tell him he is indeed Justice.
His own life answer the straightness of his proceeding, it shall become him well, wherein if he chance to fail, he hath sentenced himself.
I'm going to visit the prisoner. Fare you well.
Peace be with you. He who the swords of heaven will bear should be as holy as severe, patterning himself to know, grace to stand, and virtue go, more nor less to others' pain than by self-offences weighing. Shame to him whose cruel striking kills for faults of his own liking. Twice tremble shame on Angelo to weed my vice and let his grow. Oh, that may man within him hide, though angel on the outward side. Craft against vice I must apply. With Angelo tonight shall lie his old betrothed but despised. So disguised shall by the disguised pay with falsehood, false exacting, and perform an old contracting.
Exit. Groundlings, this is your 5-minute interval. You now have 5 minutes to refresh your drinks, refresh yourselves, and prepare yourselves for the second half. If you have any questions for myself, the production team, or our guest introducer for tonight, the lovely Carla, do let us know. Otherwise, please be ready for the second half to begin in approximately 5 minutes' time. That's 20:40 or 20 to 9 BST. Thank you so much. Wonderful work, everyone. Wonderful work so far. Hi there, Carla. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Yes, having a lovely time. Well, not having a lovely time, if you know what I mean, but I'm engrossed, shall we put it that way? Yes, challenging scenes indeed. Sarah, how are we doing? Do we have an update from our Patreon this week? Lovely audience, if you'd like to send in some messages or questions rather for our lovely guest introducer, Carla. Exactly, Matt is demonstrating what you need to do. Get Tibbity tapping away the live chat there. We'll throw them over as soon as we can. In the meantime, Sarah, Patreon update. Do we have news?
Yes, we have some lovely new patrons this week to say thank you to. So as always, a huge thank you to all of our ongoing patrons who are supporting the project. It means so much to have your support. So our lovely new patrons this week I've got to shout out to, plus some people who have increased their monthly donation, which is absolutely wonderful. We're so grateful. So shout out this week to Paul C, Derek L, Matthew B, Elaine M, Richard P, and Jeremy M. So thank you so much to those of you who've increased your donations, those who are new sign-ups on the Patreon. It means so much to all those involved. If you are new to watching The Show Must Go Online and you would like to tip your actors, everyone involved in the project, so actors and creative team, are all participating voluntarily. So if you would like to donate something to the project, head over to our Patreon page. The link is in the video description, and you will in return get lots of lovely exclusive content that is posted on a weekly basis. You will get access to actor vlogs, exclusive interviews, and sneak peeks to the show that is coming up that week. So thank you again to everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we've got some questions coming in now from our lovely audience members. Here's one I'd love to get your thoughts on, Carla. Who is the central character of Measure for Measure?
Ooh, that's a difficult question. And it might depend on whether you look at stage time or who you want to claim as the protagonist. So the Duke is actually around for a good deal of the time, but not as himself. And so we get a lot of insight into who he is, but it's a question of who becomes central. How do people who talk about themselves or people we hear about from other people? So I think this is one of those, I think it's a really good question, and I know I'm not answering it, but that's purposeful. So I would be thrilled if someone renamed this show Isabella. I would be happy with that. But Shakespeare didn't really name plays after singular women. So even if he gave them a lot of lines. So.
Yeah, wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. I think it's a really interesting question. Similarly, just something that we noticed kind of seemed to shift in Troilus and Cressida and has carried on this time is the subjectivity seems to have gone right up in the writing. So suddenly, what other characters say about your character or say about a certain character can no longer be believed or to be trusted to be true. It's a really interesting contradiction, I suppose, that just seems to have been put into the writing for the first time in the last couple of plays. It really makes it much more exciting, much more ambiguous, I suppose. Yeah. Another question for you, Carla, if you would indulge us. The Duke, we've got someone said here, really interesting question from the book This is Shakespeare. There's a claim that Measure for Measure was a comedy made out of a tragedy by the Duke in disguise, which is an interesting way of looking at it. I would like to put another spin on that slightly, how moral, or I guess how justified is the Duke in his actions?
Ooh, well, that is a judgment call. It's difficult to say. He's been the person in charge for 14 years and he said he couldn't enact the laws. So if you don't think the laws are just, so you don't enact them, then either change the laws. But what he does is says, I'll just go away and have somebody else do it. It's kind of an experiment. What would happen in this city, but I don't really want to take responsibility for it. And you might call it passive aggressive, or just, there might be other terms for that. But in some ways, it's actually quite effective. So do we judge it by the ends justify the means? Like in the end, right? He reveals that people have been dishonest, and so maybe it works. But it's a question of, when it comes to, is the question about morality or is the question about governance? And they may not be the same exact things. So he doesn't technically do anything wrong, but if the absence of doing something wrong doesn't mean that you're doing anything right. So that's where the Duke, I don't think he's a great guy. And I certainly wouldn't want him on my team as part of a problem solver. So
yes, much more of a wait and see guy, it has to be said. But I think that's kind of what's lovely about this play, even though it's not necessarily pleasant. It is chewy. You know, there's big dilemmas and there's big ambiguities that it forces the audience to engage with and wrestle with, and doesn't provide easy answers.
Absolutely. And when we see these, we have all these different scenes, as I said, go pretty quickly, and we keep on changing up who is central, whose subjectivity that we get privileged to. And that's part of it. And then what our audience can look forward to is a big final scene where it just puts everybody in the room together. And someone, the Duke in disguise, is like, ha, you know, he's the one who can do that for us. And it's kind of like almost the characters that we have today when they break the fourth wall and talk directly into the camera. You want that person to have been there the whole time, who knows when people have done things wrong. And so we kind of, well, it would be a pleasure to actually have somebody who has that insight and who has the authority to invoke it, because none of the other people really do. So it will
wonderful. My last question for you was going to be, what are you most looking forward to in the second half of the play? But it sounds like you might have answered it. But
right, and one of the things that, when it comes to seeing stories that we already know, the pleasure in it is that we get to see them again, to see how they're done. For those of us familiar with the story, we know what's going to happen. And so I'm curious to see how this wonderful group of actors will, the tone and the affect they'll attribute to some of the final lines of the play and the final reveals. So even though the play stays the same, we change and our world changes, and with a greater emphasis on governance and silenced and police and everything. I guess quite selfishly, I'm curious to see how I respond to the final act, because it's been a while since I've had the privilege of seeing it. So
sure thing. I look forward to hearing your reactions after the show is finished. And I love the fact that you've allowed me to use like a phrase cribbed from the 1960s, which is, stay tuned for the exciting conclusion, everyone. So the second half is now about to begin. So if I can ask you all to retire to the backstage area for the time being, that would be most appreciated. And our lovely audience, please do share your reactions online using the hashtag #ShowMustGoOnline. Follow us at TSMG Online Live on Twitter, or /The Show Must Go Online on Insta and Facebook. Please do consider making a donation to the Patreon if you have enjoyed what you've seen so far, or certainly feel free to reserve your judgment until the grand finale. And please enjoy William Shakespeare's Measure for Measure. Act 4, Scene 1, the moated grange at St. Luke's. Enter Mariana and a boy singing.
আমার প্রাণের পরে চলে গেল কে, বসন্তের বাতাসটুকুর মতো সে যে ছুঁয়ে গেল, নুয়ে গেল কে, ফুল ফুটিয়ে গেল শত শত, বসন্তের বাতাসটুকুর মতো।
Break off thy song and haste thee quick away. Here comes a man of comfort whose advice hath often steeled my brawling discontent. I cry you mercy, sir, and well could wish that you had not found me here so musical. Let me excuse me, and believe me so, my mirth is much displeased, but pleased my woe.
'Tis good, though music oft had such a charm to make bad good and good provoke to harm. I pray you tell me, have anybody inquired of me here today? Much upon this time have I promised here to meet.
You've not been inquired after. I have sat here all day.
I do constantly believe you. The time is come even now. I shall crave your forbearance a little. Maybe I will call upon you anon for some advantage to yourself.
I am always bound to you.
Very well met and welcome. What is the news from this good deputy?
He hath a garden circummured with brick, whose western side is with a vineyard backed, and to that vineyard is a plankered gate that makes his opening with this bigger key. And this doth command a little door which from the vineyard to the garden leads. That there I have made my promise upon the heavy middle of the night to call upon him.
But shall you on your knowledge find his way?
I have ta'en a due and weary note upon, with whispering and most guilty diligence in action all precept. He did show me the way twice o'er.
Are there no other tokens between you agreed concerning her observance?
No, none, but only a repair in the dark. And that I have possessed him my most stay can be but brief. For I have made him know I have a servant comes with me along, that stays upon me, whose persuasion is I come about my brother.
'Tis well borne up. I have not yet made known to Mariana a word of this. What ho! Within, come forth! I pray you be acquainted with this maid. She comes to do you good.
I do desire the like.
Do you persuade yourself that I respect you?
Good friar, I know you do, and have found it.
Take then this your companion by the hand, who hath a story ready for your ear. I shall attend your leisure, but make haste. The vapor's night approaches.
Will it please you walk aside?
Oh, place and greatness. Millions of false eyes are stuck upon thee. Volumes of report run with these false and most contrarious quest upon thy doings. Thousand escapes of wit make thee the father of their idle dream and rack thee in their fancies. Welcome, how agreed?
She'll take the enterprise upon her father if you advise it.
It is not my consent, but my entreaty too.
Little have you to say when you depart from him, but soft and low. Remember now, my brother.
Fear me not.
No, gentle daughter, fear you not at all. He's your brother, he's your husband on a pre-contract to bring you thus together. 'Tis no sin, seeth that the justice of your life to him doth flourish the deceit. Come, let us go, our corns to reap, for yet our tithes to sow.
Exeunt. Act 4, Scene 2, a room in the prison, and Provost and Clown Pompey.
Come hither, sirrah. Can you cut off a man's head?
If the man be a bachelor, sir, I can. But if he be a married man, he's his wife's head, and I can never cut off a woman's head.
Come, sir, leave me your snatches and yield me a direct answer. Tomorrow morning are to die Claudio and Barnardine. Here in our prison, a common executioner who in his office lacks a helper. If you will take it on you to assist him, it shall redeem you from your shackles. If not, you shall have your full time of imprisonment and your deliverance with an unpitied whipping, for you have been a notorious bawd.
Sir, I have been an unlawful bawd time out of mind, but I will be content to be a lawful hangman. I would be glad to receive some instruction from my fellow partner.
What ho, a poison! Where's our poison there?
Do you call, sir?
Sirrah, here's a fellow will help you tomorrow in your execution. If you think it meet, compound with him by the year, and let him abide here with you. If not, use him for the present and dismiss him. He cannot plead his estimation with you, for he hath been abhorred.
Abhorred? Sir, fie upon him. He will discredit our mystery.
Go to, sir, you weigh equally. A feather will turn the scale.
Pray, sir, by your good favor, for surely, sir, a good favor you have, but that you have a hanging look. Do you call, sir, your occupation a mystery?
Aye, sir, it is a mystery.
Painting, sir, I have heard say, is a mystery, and your horrors, sir, being members of my occupation, using painting to prove my occupation a mystery. But what mystery there should be in hanging? If I should be hanged, I cannot imagine.
Sir, it is a mystery.
Proof.
Every true man's apparel fits your thief. If it be too little for your thief, your true man thinks it big enough. If it be too big for your thief thinks it little enough, so every true man's apparel fits your thief.
Are you agreed?
Sir, I will serve him, for I do find your hangman is a more penitent trade than your bawd. He doth oftener ask for forgiveness.
You, sirrah, provide your block and your axe tomorrow, 4 o'clock.
Come on, bawd. I shall instruct thee in my trade. Follow!
I do desire to learn, sir, and I hope if you have occasion to use me for your own turn, you shall find me yar. For truly, sir, for your kindness, I owe you a good turn.
Call hither Barnardine and Claudio. One is my pity, not a jot the other, being a murderer, though he were my brother. Look, here's the warrant, Claudio, for thy death. 'Tis now at midnight, and by 8 tomorrow thou must be made immortal. Where's Barnardine?
As fast locked up in sleep as guiltless labour when it lies starkly in the traveller's bones. He will not wake.
Who can do good on him? Well, go, prepare yourself. But hark, what noise! Heaven give your spirits comfort. By and by, I hope it is some pardon or reprieve for the most gentle Claudio. Welcome, Father.
The best and wholesome spirits of the night envelop you, good Provost. Who'd call here of late?
None since the curfew rung.
Not Isabel?
No.
They will then ere it be long.
What comfort is for Claudio?
There's some in hope.
It is a bitter deputy.
Not so, not so. His life is parallel even with the stroke and line of his great justice. He doth with holy abstinence subdue that in himself which he spares on his power to qualify in others. Were he mild with that which he corrects, then were he tyrannous. But these being so, he's just. Now are they come. This is a gentle provost. Seldom when the stealer jailer is the friend of men. How now? What noise? That spirit's possessed with hate that wounds the unsisting postman with these strokes.
There he must stay until the officer arrives to let him in. He is called up.
Have you no countermand for Claudio yet? But he must die tomorrow?
None, sir, none.
As near the dawning, Provost, as it is, you shall hear more ere morning.
Happily. You something know, yet I believe there comes no countermand. No such example have we. Besides, upon the very siege of justice, Lord Angelo hath to the public ear professed the contrary. This is his lordship's man.
And here comes Claudio's pardon.
My lord has sent you this note. And by me this further charge, that you swerve not from the smallest article of it, neither in time, matter, or other circumstance. Good morrow, for as I take it, it is almost day.
I shall obey him.
This is his pardon. purchased by such sin for which the pardoner himself is in. Hence hath offense has quick celerity when it is born in high authority. When vice makes mercy, mercy so extended, that for the false love in the offender friended. Now, sir, what news?
I told you, Lord Angelo, belike thinking me remiss in mine office, awakens me with this unwonted putting on, methinks strangely, for he hath not asked it before.
Pray you, let's hear.
Whatsoever you may hear to the contrary, let Claudio be executed by 4 of the clock, and in the afternoon Barnardine. For my better satisfaction, let me have Claudius' head sent me by 5. Let this be duly performed, with a thought that more depends on it than we must yet deliver. Thus fail not to do your office, as you will answer it at your peril. What say you to this, sir?
What is that Barnardine who is to be executed in the afternoon?
A Bohemian born, but here nursed up and bred, one that is a prisoner 9 years.
How came it that the absent duke had no either delivered him to his liberty or executed him? I have heard it was ever his manner to do so.
His friend still broad provides for him, and indeed his fact till now in the government of Lord Angelo came not to an undoubtful proof.
It is now apparent.
Most manifest, and not denied by himself.
Hath he borne himself penitently in prison? How seems he to be touched?
A man that apprehends death no more dreadfully, but as a drunken sleep, careless, reckless, and fearless of what's past, present, or to come, insensible of morality, and mortality, and desperately mortal.
He wants advice.
He will hear none. He hath evermore had the liberty of the prison. Give him leave to escape hence, he would not. Drunk many times a day, if not many days entirely drunk. We have very often waked him, as if to carry him to execution, and showed him a seeming warrant for it. It had not moved him at all.
More of him anon. There is written in your brow, Provost, honesty and constancy. If I read it not truly, my ancient skills beguiles me. But in the boldness of my cunning, I will lay myself in hazard. Claudio, who here we have warrant to execute, is no greater forfeit to the law than Angelo who hath sentenced him. To make you understand this in a manifested effect, I crave but 4 days' respite, for the which you are to do me both a present and a dangerous courtesy.
Pray, sir, in what?
In the delaying death.
Alag, how may I do it? Having the hour limited and an express command under penalty to deliver his head in the view of Angelo. I may make my case as Claudius to cross this in the smallest.
By the vow of mine order, I warn you, if my instructions may be your guide, let this Barnardine be this morning executed, and his head borne to Angelo.
Angelo hath seen them both, and will discover the favor.
Oh, that's a great disguiser. If anything fall to you upon this, more than thanks and good fortune, by the saint whom I profess, I will plead against it with my life.
Pardon me, good father, it is against my oath.
Were you sold to the Duke or to the deputy?
To him and to his substitute.
You will think you have made no offense if the Duke avouch the justice of your dealing?
But what likelihood is in that?
Not a resemblance, but a certainty. Yet, since I see you fearful that neither my cold integrity nor persuasion can with ease attempt you, I will go further than I meant, to pluck all fears out of you. Look you, sir. Here is the hand and seal of the Duke. You know the character, I doubt not, and the signet is not strange to you.
I know them both.
The contents of this is the return of the Duke. You shall anon overread it at your pleasure, where you shall find within these 2 days he will be here. This is a thing that Angelo notes not, for he this very day receives letters of a strange tenor, perchance for the Duke's death, perchance entering into some monastery, but by chance nothing for what is writ. Look, the unfolding star calls up the shepherd. Put not yourself into amazement how these things should be. All difficulties are but easy when they are known. Call your executioner and off with Barnardine's the head. I will give him a present shrift and advise him for a better place. Yet you are amazed, but this shall absolutely resolve you. Come away, it is almost clear dawn.
Exeunt. Act 4, Scene 3, another room in the prison. Enter Clown Pompey.
I am as well acquainted here as I was in our house of profession. One would think it were Mistress Overdone's own house, for here be many of her old customers. Oh, first, here's young Master Raj with tea lad. He's in for a commodity of brown paper and old ginger, £9 £17, which she made 5 marks ready money. Marry. Then ginger says not much in request, for all the old women were dead. And then there is here young Master Caper hanging at the suit of Master Threepile the mercer for some 4 suits of peach-coloured satin, which now peaches him a beggar, and I think 40 more. All great doers in our trade, and are now...
Sirrah, bring Barnardine hither.
Oh. Master Barnardine, you must rise and be hanged, Master Barnardine.
What ho, Barnardine?
Pox of your throats, who makes that noise there? What are you?
Your friends, sir, the hangman. You must be good, so good, sir, as to rise and be put to death.
Away, you rogue, away. I am sleepy.
Tell him that he must awake, and that quickly too.
Pray, Master Barnardine, awake till you are executed in sleep afterwards.
Go in to him, fetch him out.
He is coming, sir. He is coming.
Is the axe upon the block, Sirrah?
Very ready, sir.
Hello, Alberson. What's the news with you?
Truly, sir, I would desire you to clap into your prayers, for look you, the warrants come.
You rogue. I have been drinking all night. I am not fit for it.
Oh, the better, sir, for he that drinks all night and is hanged betimes in the morning may sleep all the sounder the next day.
Look you, sir, here comes your ghostly father now. Do we jest now, think you?
Sir, induced by my charity and hearing how hastily you are to depart, I am come to advise you, comfort you, and pray with you.
Friar, not I. I have been drinking hard all night, and I will have more time to prepare me, or they shall beat out my brains with billets. I will not consent to die this day. That's certain.
Oh, sir, you must. And therefore, I beseech you, look forward on the journey you shall go.
I swear I will not die today for any man's persuasion.
But hear you.
Not a word. If you have anything to say to me, come to my ward, for hence will not I today.
Unfit to live or die, oh gravel heart. After him, fellows, bring him to the block.
Now, sir, how do you find the prisoner?
A creature unprepared and meet for death, and to transport him in the mind he were damnable.
Here in the prison, father, there died this morning of a cruel fever one Bragazine, a most notorious pirate, a man of glorious years, his beard and head just of his colour. What if we do omit this for probate till he were well inclined and satisfy the deputy with the visage of Bragazine, more like to Claudio?
Oh, 'tis an accident that heaven provides. Dispatch it presently. The hour draws on, prefixed by Angelo. See this be done, and sent according to command, whilst I persuade this rude wretch willingly to die.
This shall be done, good father, presently, but Barnardine must die this afternoon. How shall we... How shall we continue, Claudio, to save me from the danger that might come if he were known alive?
Let this be done. Put them in secret halls, both Bernardine and Claudio. Ere twice the son hath made his journal greeting, the young generation, you shall find your safety manifested.
I am your free dependent.
Quick, dispatch and send the head to Angelo. Now will I write letters to Angelo, the provost, that he shall bear them, whose contents shall witness to him I am near at home, and that by great injunctions I am bound to enter publicly. Him I'll desire to meet me at the consecrated fount and league below the city, and from thence, by gold gradation and well-balanced form, we shall proceed with Angelo.
Here's the head. I'll carry it myself.
Convenient is it? Make a swift return, for I would commune with you of such things that want no ear but yours.
I'll make all speed.
Peace, ho, be here.
The tongue of Isabel. She's come to know if yet her brother's pardon be come hither, but I will keep her ignorant of her good, to make her heavenly comforts of despair when it is least expected.
Ho, by your leave.
Good morning to you, fair and gracious daughter.
The better given me by your so holy a man. Hath yet the deputy sent my brother's pardon?
He hath released him, Isabel, from the world. His head is off and sent to Angelo.
Nay! No! It is not so!
It is no other. Show your wisdom, daughter, and in your close patience.
Oh, I will to him and pluck out his eyes!
He shall not be admitted. You shall not be admitted to his sight.
Unhappy Claudia, wretched Isabella, injurious world, most damned Angelo.
This nor hath him nor profit you a jot. Forbear it, therefore, give your cause to heaven. Mark what I say, which you shall find by every syllable a faithful verity. The Duke comes home tomorrow. Nay, dry your eyes. One of the converts of El and his confessor give me this instance. Already he hath carried notice to ESCALUS and Angelo, who do prepare to meet him at the gates, there to give him the power. If you can, place your wisdom in that good path that I would wish you to go, and you shall have your bosom on this wretch, grace of the Duke, revenges to your heart, and general honor.
I am directed by you.
This letter, then, to Friar Peter give. This that he sent me of the Duke's return, say by this token I desire his company at Mariana's house tonight. Her cause and yours are perfect him withal, and he shall bring you before the Duke, and to the head of Angelo, accuse him home to home. For my poor self, I am combined by a sacred vow, and shall be absent. When you with this letter, command these fretting waters from your eyes, with a light heart, trust not my holy order, if I pervert your course. Who's there?
Good even, Friar. Where's the provost?
Not within, sir.
Oh, pretty Isabella, I am pale at mine heart to see thine eyes so red. Thou must be patient. I am fain to dine and sup with water and bran. I dare not, for my head, fill my belly. One fruitful meal would set me to it. But they say the Duke will be here tomorrow. By my troth, Isabel, I loved thy brother. If the old fantastical Duke of Dark Corners had been at home, he had lived.
Sir, the Duke is marvelous little beholding to your reports, but the best is, he lives not in them.
Friar, thou knowest not the Duke so well as I do. He's a better woodman than thou takest him for.
Well, you'll answer this one day. Fare you well.
Nay, tarry. I'll go along with thee. I can tell thee pretty tales of the Duke.
You have told me too many of him already, sir, if they be true. If not true, none were enough.
I was once before him, forgetting a wench with child.
Did you such a thing?
Yes, marry, I did, but I was fain to forswear it. They would else have married me to the rotten meddler.
Sir, your company's fairer than honest. Rest you well.
By my troth, I'll go with thee to the lane's end. If bawdy talk offend you, we'll have very little of it. Nay, friar, I am a kind of burr, I shall stick.
Exeunt. Act 4, Scene 4. A room in Angelo's house. Enter Angelo and ESCALUS.
Every letter he hath writ hath disvouched other.
In most uneven and distracted manner. His actions show much like to madness. Oh, pray heaven his wisdom be not tainted. And why meet him at the gates and redeliver our authorities there?
I guess not.
And why should we proclaim it in an hour before his entering, that if any crave redress of injustice, they should exhibit their petitions in the street?
Oh, he shows his reason for that, to have a dispatch of complaints and to deliver us from devices hereafter, which shall then have no power.
Men of sword and suitor as to meet him.
I shall, sir. Fare you well.
He should have lived. Save that his riotous youth with dangerous sense might in the times to come obtain revenge, by so receiving a dishonoured life with ransom of such shame. Oh, would yet that he had lived! Oh, alack! When once our grace we have forgot, nothing goes right. We would and we would not.
Exit. Act 4, Scene 5. Fields without the town. Enter Duke in his own habit and Friar Peter.
These letters at fit time deliver me. The provost knows our purpose and our plot. The matter being afoot, keep your instruction and hold you ever to a special drift, though sometimes you do blench from this to that as cause doth minister. Go call at Flavius' house and tell him where I stay. Give the like notice to Valentius, Roland, and to Crassus, and bid them bring the trumpets to the gate. But send me Flavius first.
It shall be speeded.
Exit. Act 4, Scene 6. A street near the city gate. Enter Isabella and Mariana.
To speak so indirectly, I am loath. I would say the truth, but to accuse him so, that is your part. Yet I am advised to do it. He says to veil full purpose.
Be ruled by him.
Besides, he tells me that if peradventure he speaks against me on the advised side, I should not think it strange, for 'tis a physic that's bitter to sweet end.
Oh, I would, Friar Peter.
Oh, peace, the friar is come.
Come, I have found you out a stand most fit, where you shall have such vantage on the Duke, he shall not pass you. Twice have the trumpets sounded, the generous and gravest citizens have hent the gates, and very near upon the Duke is entering. Therefore, hence away!
Exeunt. Act 5, Scene 1. At the city gate. Enter Duke, Varius, Lords, Angelo, ESCALUS, LUCIO, Provost, Officer at several doors.
My very worthy cousin, fairly met. Our old and faithful friend, we are glad to see you.
Happy return be to your royal grace.
Many and hearty thankings to you both. We have made inquiry of you when we hear such goodness of your justice that our soul cannot but yield you forth to public thanks.
Oh, you make my bond still greater.
Oh, your desert speaks loud, and I should wrong it to log it in the words of covered bosom, when it deserves with characters of brass the forted residence against the tooth of time and razor of oblivion. Come, ESCALUS, you must walk by us on our other hand, and good supporters are you.
Now is your time. Speak loud and kneel before him.
Justice, O royal Duke, veil your regard upon a wronged. I would fain have said a maid. O worthy prince, dishonour not your eye by throwing it on any other object, till you have heard me in my true complaint and given me justice. Justice! Justice!
Justice! Justice! Justice! Justice!
State your wrongs in what? By whom? Be brief. Here is Lord Angelo, shall give you justice. Reveal yourself to him.
O worthy Duke, you bid me seek redemption from the devil. Hear me yourself, for that which I must speak must either punish me not being believed, or wring redress from you. Hear me, oh hear me here.
My lord, her wits, I fear me, are not firm. She hath been a suitor to me for her brother, cut off by course of justice.
Course of justice?
And she will speak most bitterly and strange.
Most strange, and yet most truly I will speak. That Angelo's forsworn, is it not strange? That Angelo's a murderer, 'tis not strange? That Angelo's an adulterous thief, an hypocrite, a virgin violator, is it not strange and strange?
Nay, it is 10 times strange.
Is it not truer he is Angelo? And this is all that is as true as strange. Nay, it is 10 times true, for truth is truth till the end of reckoning.
Away with her, poor soul. She speaks this in infirmity of sense.
Oh, Prince, I conjure thee, as thou believest there is another conform than this world, that thou neglect me not with that opinion that I am touched with madness. Make not impossible that which seems unlike. 'Tis not impossible, but one that wickedest caitiff on the ground may seem as shy, as grave, as just, as absolute as Angelo. Even so may Angelo in all his dressings, badges, titles, form, be an arch villain. Believe it, royal prince. If he be less, he's nothing, but he's more, had I more name for badness.
By mine honesty, if she be mad, as I believe no other, her madness hath the oddest frame of sense, such a dependency of thing on thing as ever I heard in madness. What would you say?
I am the sister of one Claudio, condemned upon the act of fornication to lose his head, condemned by Angelo. I, in probation of a sisterhood, was sent to by my brother, one LUCIO, as then the messenger.
That's I, and like your grace, I came to her from Claudio and desired her to try her gracious fortune with Lord Angelo for her poor brother's pardon.
That's he indeed.
You were not bid to speak.
No, my good lord, nor wished to hold my peace.
I wish you now then, pray you take note of it, and when you have a business for yourself, pray heaven you then be perfect.
I warrant, your honor.
The warrants for yourself. Take heed to it.
This gentleman told somewhat of my tale.
Right.
It may be right, but you're either wrong to speak before your time. Proceed.
I went to this pernicious caitiff deputy.
That's somewhat mildly spoken.
Pardon it. The phrase is to the matter.
But meant it again. The matter, proceed.
In brief, to set the needless process by, how I persuaded, how I prayed and kneeled, how he repealed me, and how I replied, for this was of much length. The vile conclusion, I now begin with grief and shame to utter. He would not, but by gift of my chaste body, to his concupiscible intemperate lust, release my brother. And after much debatement, my sisterly remorse confutes my honor, and I did yield to him. But the next morn betimes, for he's surfeiting, he sends a warrant for my poor brother's head.
This is most likely.
Oh, that it were as like as it is true.
By heaven, fond wretch, thou knowest not what thou speakest, or else thou art suborned against his honor in hateful practice. First, his integrity stands without blemish. Next, it imports no reason that with such vehemency he should pursue faults proper to himself. If he had so offended, he would have weighed thy brother by himself and not have cut him off. Someone hath set you on. Confess the truth and say by whose advice thou comest here to complain.
And this is all. Then, oh, you blessed ministers above, keep me in patience, and with ripened time unfold the evil which is here wrapped up in countenance. Heaven shield your grace from woe, as I thus wronged, hence unbelieved go.
I know you'd fain be gone. An officer, to prison with her. Shall we thus permit a blasting and a scandalous breath to fall on him so near us? This needs must be a practice. Who knew of your intent and coming hither?
One that I would were here, Friar Lodowick.
A ghostly father, belike. Who knows that Lodowick?
My lord, I know him. 'Tis a meddling friar. I do not like the man. Had he been lay, my lord, for certain words he spake against your grace in your retirement, I had swinged him soundly.
Words against me? This is a good friar, belike. And to set on this wretched woman here against our substitute. Let this friar be found.
But yesternight, my lord, she and that friar, I saw them at the prison. A saucy friar, a very scurvy fellow.
Blessed be your royal grace. I have stood by, my lord, and I have heard your royal ear abused. First hath this woman most wrongfully accused your substitute, who is as free from touch or soil with her as she from one ungot.
We did believe no less. Know you that Friar Lodowick that she speaks of?
I know him for a man divine and holy, not scurvy nor a temporary meddler, as he's reported by this gentleman, and on my trust, a man that never yet did, as he vouched, misreport your grace.
My lord, most villainously believe it.
Well, he in time may come to make himself clear, but at this instant he is sick, my lord, of a strange fever. Upon his mere request, being come to knowledge that there was complaint intended against Lord Angelo, came I hither to speak as from his mouth what he doth know is true and false, and what he with his oath and all probation will make up full clear whensoever he's convented. First, for this woman, to justify this worthy nobleman so vulgarly and personally accused, her shall you hear disproved to her eyes till she herself confess it.
Good friar, let's hear it. Do you not smile at this, Lord Angelo? Oh heaven, the vanity of wretched fools. Give us some seats. Come, cousin Angelo, in this I'll be impartial. Be you judge of your own cause. Is this the witness, friar? First, let her show her face and after speak.
Pardon, my lord, I will not show my face until my husband bid me.
What? Are you married?
No, my lord.
Are you a maid?
No, my lord.
A widow, then?
Neither, my lord.
Why, you're nothing then, neither maid, widow, nor wife?
My lord, she may be a punk, for many of them are neither maid, widow, nor wife.
Silence that fellow. I would he had some cause to prattle for himself.
Well, my lord.
My lord, I do confess I ne'er was married, and I confess besides I am no maid. I have known my husband, yet my husband knows not that even he knew me.
He was drunk then, my lord, it can be no better.
For the benefit of silence, thou wert so too.
Well, my lord.
This is no witness for Lord Angelo.
Now I come to it, my lord. She that accuses him of fornication in same self manner doth accuse my husband, and charges him, my lord, with such a time which I'll dispose I had him in mine arms, with all the effect of love.
Charges she more than me?
Not that I know.
No, you say your husband.
Why, just, my lord, and that is Angelo, who thinks he knows that he ne'er knew my body, but knows, he thinks, that he knows Isabel's.
This is a strange abuse. Let's see thy face.
My husband bids me. Now I will unmask. This is the face, thou cruel Angelo, flourish which once thou sworest was worth looking on. This is the hand with which with a vowed contract was fast belocked in mine. This is the body that took away the match from Isabel and did supply thee at thy garden house in her imagined person.
Know you this woman?
Carnally, she says.
Sarah, no more.
Enough, my lord.
My lord, I must confess, I know this woman, and 5 years since there was some speech of marriage betwixt myself and her, which was broke off, partly for her promised proportions came short of composition, but in chief for that her reputation was disvalued in levity. Since which time of 5 years I never spake with her, saw her, nor heard from her, upon my faith and honour.
Noble prince, as there comes light from heaven and words from breath, as there is sense in truth and truth in virtue, I am affianced this man's wife as strongly as words would make up vows. And my good lord, but Tuesday night last gone, in's garden house, he knew me as wife. As is true, let me in safety raise me from my knees, or else forever be confixed here, a marble monument.
I did but smile till now. My good my lord, give me the scope of justice. My patience here is touched. I do perceive that these poor informal women are no more but instruments of some more mightier member that sets them on. Let me have my way, my lord, to find this practice out.
Aye, with my heart, and punish them to your height of pleasure. Thou foolish friar, and thou pernicious woman, come back with her that's gone. Think'st thou thy oaths, though they would swear down each particular saying, were testimonies against his worth and credit that's sealed in approbation? You, Lord ESCALUS, sit with my cousin, let him your kind pains, to find out this abuse whence he's derived. There is another friar that set them on, let him be sent for.
Would he were here, my lord, for he indeed hath set the women on to this complaint. Your provost knows the place where he abides, and he may fetch them.
Go do it instantly. And you, my noble and well-warranted cousin, whom it concerns to hear this matter forth, do with your injuries as seems you best in any chastisement. I, for a while, will leave you, but stir not you till you have well determined upon these slanderers.
My lord, we'll do it throughly. Signor Lucio, did you not say you knew that Friar Lodovick to be a dishonest person?
Cuculus non facet monachum. Honest in nothing but his clothes, and one that has spoke most villainous speeches of the Duke.
We shall entreat you to abide here till he come and enforce them against him. We shall find this friar a notable fellow.
As any in Vienna, on my word.
Oh, call that same Isabel here once again. I would speak with her. Pray you, my lord, give me leave to question. You shall see how I'll handle her.
No better than he by her own report.
Say you?
Marry, sir, I think if you handled her privately, she would sooner confess. Perchance publicly she'll be ashamed.
I will go darkly to work with her.
That's the way, for women are light at midnight.
Come on, mistress. Here's a gentlewoman denies all that you have said.
My lord, here comes the rascal I spoke of, here with the provost.
In very good time. Speak not you to him till we call upon you.
Mum.
Come, sir. Did you set these women on to slander Lord Angelo? They have confessed you did.
'Tis false.
How? Know you where you are, sir?
Respect to your great place, and let the devil be sometime honored for his burning throne. Where is the Duke? 'Tis he should hear me speak.
The Duke's in us, and we will hear you speak. Look, you speak justly.
Boldly, at least. But oh, poor souls, come you to seek the lamb here of the fox. Good night to your redress. Is the Duke gone? Then is your cause gone too. The Duke's unjust thus to retort your manifest appeal and put your trial in the villain's mouth, which here you come to accuse.
This is the rascal, this is he I spoke of.
Why, thou unreverend and unhallowed friar, is it not enough thou hast suborned these women to accuse this worthy man, but in foul mouth and in the witness of his proper ear to call him villain, and then to glance from him to the Duke himself, and to tax him with injustice? Take him hence. To the rack with him. We'll touse you joint by joint, but we will know his purpose. What? Unjust?
Be not so hot. The Duke dare no more stretch this finger of mine that he dare rack his own. His subject am I not, nor here provincial. My business in this state made me a looker on here in Vienna, where I have seen corruption boil and bubble, till it overrun the stew.
Slander to the state. Away with him to prison.
What can you vouch against him, Sinlor Lucio? Is this the man that you did tell us of?
'Tis he, my lord. Come hither, Goodman Baldpate. Do you know me?
I remember you, sir, by the sound of your voice. I met you at the prison in the absence of the Duke.
Oh, did you so? And do you remember what you said of the Duke?
Most notedly, sir.
Do you so, sir? And was the Duke a fleshmonger, a fool, and a coward, as you then reported him to be?
You must, sir, change persons with me every day that my report. You indeed spoke so of him, and much more, much worse.
Oh, thou damnable fellow, did I not pluck thee by the nose for thy speeches?
I protest, I love the Duke as I love myself.
Hark how the villain would close now after his treasonable abuses.
Such a fellow is not to be talked withal. Away with him to prison. Where is the provost? Away with him to prison. Lay bolts enough about him. Let him speak no more. Away with those giglets too, and with the other Confederate companion.
Stay, sir. Stay a while.
What, resists he? Help him, Lucio.
Come, sir. Come, sir. Come, sir. Foe, sir, why, you bald-pated, lying rascal. You must be hooded, must you? Show your knave's visage with a pox on you. Show your sheep-biting face and be hanged an hour. Wilt not off.
Thou art the first knave that ever made us the Duke. First, Provost, let me bail these gentle three. Stick not away, sir, for the friar and you must have a word anon. Lay hold on him.
This may prove worse than hanging.
What you have spoke, I pardon. Sit you down, we'll borrow place of him. Sir, by your leave. Hast thou or word or wit or impudence that yet can do the office? If thou hast, rely upon it till my tale be heard, and hold no longer out.
Oh, my dread lord, I should be guiltier than my guiltiness to think I can be undiscernible when I perceive your grace, like power divine, hath looked upon my passes. Then, good prince, no longer session hold upon my shame, but let my trial be mine own confession. Immediate sentence then and sequent death is all the grace I beg.
Come hither, Mariana. Say, wast thou ever contracted to this woman?
I was, my lord.
Go take her hands and marry her instantly. Do you the office, friar, which consummate, return him here again. Go with him, provost.
My lord, I am more amazed at his dishonor than at the strangeness of it.
Come hither, Isabel. Your friar is now your prince. As I was then advertising and wholly to your business, not changing heart with habit, I am still attorney at your service.
Oh, give me pardon that I, your vassal, have employed and pained your unknowing sovereignty.
You are pardoned, Isabel. And now, dear maid, be you as free to us. Your brother's death, I know, sits at your heart, and you may marvel why I obscured myself, laboring to save his life, and would not rather make rash remonstrance of my hidden power than let him be so lost. Oh, most kind maid, it was the swift celerity of his death, which I did think with slower foot came on, that braided my purpose. But peace be with him, that life is better life past fearing death, that which lives to fear. Make it your comfort. So happy is your brother.
I do, my lord.
For this new married man approaching here, whose salt imagination yet hath wronged your well-defended honor, you must pardon for Mariana's sake. But as he adjudged your brother being criminal in double violation of sacred chastity and of promise breach, thereon depended for your brother's life, the very mercy of the law cries out most audible even from his proper tongue, and Angelo for Claudio, death for death. Haste still pays haste, and leisure answers leisure, like doth quid like, and measure still for measure. Then, Angelo, thy faults thou hast manifested, which thou wouldst deny, denies thee vantage. We do condemn thee to the very block where Claudio stood to death, and with like haste, away with him.
Oh, my most gracious lord, I hope you will not mock me with a husband.
It is your husband mocked you with a husband, consenting to the safeguard of your honor. I thought your marriage fit. Else imputation for that he knew you might reproach your life and choke your good to come. For his possessions, although my confiscation they are ours, we do instate and widow you withal, to buy you a better husband.
Oh, my dear lord, I crave no other, nor no better man.
Never crave him. We are definitive.
My gentle liege.
You do but lose your labor. Away with him to death. Now, sir, to you.
Oh, my good lord, sweet Isabel, take my part. Lend me your knees, and all my life to come, I'll lend you all my life to do your service.
Against all sense, you do importune her. Shall she kneel down in mercy of this fact? Her brother's ghost his paved bed would break and take her hence in horror.
Isabel, sweet Isabel, do but kneel by me. Hold up your hands. Say nothing. I'll speak all. They say best men are moulded out of faults, and for most become much more the better for being a little bad. So may my husband, oh Isabel, will you not lend me a knee?
He dies for Claudio's death.
Most bounteous sir, look, if it please you, on this man condemned, as if my brother lived, I partly think a due sincerity governed his deeds, till he did look on me. Since it is so, let him not die. My brother had justice, in that he died for the thing for which he committed. For Angelo, his act did not overtake his bad intent, and must be buried, but as intent that perished by the way. Thoughts are such subjects, intents but merely thoughts.
Merely, my lord.
Your suit's unprofitable. Stand up, I say. I have bethought me of another fault. Provost, how came it Claudio was beheaded at an unusual hour?
It was commanded so.
Have you a special warrant for the deed?
No, my good lord, it was by private message.
For which I do discharge you of your office. Give up your keys.
Pardon me, noble lord, I thought it was a fault, but knew it not. Yet did repent me after more advice, for testimony whereof one in the prison that should be by private order else have died, I have reserved a life.
What's he?
His name is Barnardine.
Oh, thou hast done so by Claudio. Go fetch him hither. Let me look upon him.
I am sorry. One so learned and so wise as you, Lord Angelo, have still appeared, should slip so grossly, both in the heat of blood and lack of tempered judgment afterward.
I am sorry that such sorrow I procure. So deep sticks it in my penitent heart that I crave death more willingly than mercy. 'Tis my deserving, and I do entreat it.
Which is that Barnardine?
This, my lord.
There was a friar told me of this man. Sarah, thou art said to have a stubborn soul that apprehends no further than this world, and squares thy life according. Thou art condemned, but for those earthly faults I quit them all, and pray thee take this mercy to provide for better times to come. Friar, advise him, I leave him to your hand. What muffled fellow's that?
This is another prisoner that I saved, who should have died when Claudio lost his head, as like almost to Claudio himself.
If he be like your brother, for his sake is he pardoned, and for your lovely sake, give me your hand. And say you will be mine. He's my brother too, but fit a time for that. By this Lord Angelo perceives he's safe. Methinks I say quickening in his eye. Well, Angelo, your evil quits you well. Look that you love your wife, her worth yours. I find an apt remission in myself. And yet, there's one in place I cannot pardon. You, Sarah, that knew me for a fool, a coward, one all of luxury, an ass, a madman, wherein have I so deserved of you that you extol me thus?
Faith, my lord, I spoke it but according to the trick. If you will hang me for it, you may, but I had rather it would please you I might be whipped.
Whipped first, sir, and hanged after. Proclaim it provost round about the city. If any woman wronged by this lewd fellow, as I have heard him swear himself, there's one who he begot with child, let her appear, and he shall marry her. The nuptial finished, let him be whipped and hanged.
I beseech your highness, do not marry me to a whore. Your highness said even now I made you a duke. Good my lord, do not recompense me in making me a cuckold.
Upon mine honor thou shalt marry her. Thy slanders I forgive, and therewithal remit thy other forfeits. Take him to prison, and see our pleasure herein executed.
Marrying a punk, my lord, is pressing to death, whipping, and hanging.
Slandering a prince deserves it. She, Claudio, that you wronged, look you restore. Joy to you, Mariana. Love her, Angelo. I have confessed her, and I know her virtue. Thanks, good friend ESCALUS, for thy much goodness. There's more behind that is more gratulate. Thanks, Provost, for thy care and secrecy. We shall employ thee in a worthier place. Forgive him, Angelo, that brought you home the head of Ragozine for Claudius. The offense pardons itself. Dear Isabel, I have emotion, much imports your good. Whereto, if you'll a willing ear incline, what's yours is mine. What's mine is yours. So bring us to our palace, where we'll show what's yet behind, that's meet you all should know.
Exeunt. Congratulations, one and all. Come out here, take a bow, give yourselves a nice big noisy round of applause. Congratulations. Well done, each and every one of you. Really amazing work. Woo! Really amazing work. Thank you to all of those watching from around the world at home. Thank you for joining us, and allow me to introduce you now to the cast and crew, starting as always with our incredible producer, Sarah Peachy.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm an actor and innovation project manager based in Glasgow.
Our associate director, stage manager and master of props, Emily Ingram.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a writer, director and stage manager based in Edinburgh.
On music and sound, it's Adam Gibson.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm a sound designer and composer based in London.
With thanks to, as always, our movement and fight coordinator, Enrique Ortuño. And our cast for this evening as VINCENTIO, Nayia Anastasiadou.
Hi all, I'm Nayia Anastasiadou, originally from Cyprus, and I'm a professional actor.
As Isabella, Amelia Parillon.
Hello, my name is Amelia Parillon. I am a Caribbean artist based in London, and I am an actress.
As Angelo, Gareth Turkington.
Hi, my name's Gareth Turkington. I'm originally from Belfast, and I am a professional actor.
As LUCIO, Kevin V. Smith.
Hi, I'm Kevin V. Smith, and I am a Chicago-based director and actor.
As ESCALUS, Stephen Jensen.
Hi, I'm Stephen Jensen. I'm an actor and retired teacher in El Cajon, Southern California.
As Provost, Tamara Theisen.
Hi, I'm Tamara Theisen. I'm originally from Germany and I am a professional actress.
As Claudio, Michael Ahomka-Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Michael Ahomka-Lindsay. I'm from West London, but based in Glasgow, and I'm an actor, writer, musician.
As Mariana, Caroline Basra.
Hi, I'm Caroline and I'm from Windsor and I'm a professional actor.
As Pompey, Paul Carpenter.
Hi, I'm Paul Carpenter. I'm in Los Angeles, nerd by day, actor by night.
As Friar Peter Thomas, Robert Chisholm.
I'm Robert Chisholm. I'm in Richland, Washington, where I teach history and political science, and I'm an enthusiastic amateur actor.
As Elbow, Laurie Ogden.
Hi, I'm Laurie. I'm from Merseyside. I'm based in London and I'm a professional writer and actor.
And our wonderful ensemble for this evening, starting with Swachata Guhamalik.
Hi, this is Swachata Guhamalik. I'm from Calcutta, India. I'm right now in New Jersey, USA. I'm an actor and mentor.
Wonderful. Wendy Morgan.
Hello, I'm Wendy Morgan, an actor just outside London.
Daniel Cordova.
Hello, I'm in Costa Mesa, California. I am a stage manager, actor, and dog walker.
Amazing. Thomas Miller.
Hi, everyone. My name is Thomas Miller. I'm originally from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, living on the West Coast. I'm a professional film, television, and theater actor.
Fabulous. And our valiant swings for this evening. First of all, Andrew Mockler.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Mockler. I'm a professional actor and musician, originally from Middlesbrough.
And Emma Wilkes.
Hi, I'm Emma Wilkes. I'm an actress based in Stroud in England. Hi.
Fabulous. And our valiant swings, of course, in the event of personal emergencies or technical difficulties, would have swung in to keep the story moving forward, and they've both been sweating it, working really hard in rehearsal as well. So thank you so much for all your prep. We really, really appreciate it. And obviously some lovely cameos this evening from our very own Matthew Rhodes and Emily Ingram. Fabulous. And I've just realised I've got a lovely pastoral background, which was not meant to be there. So never mind. This is Zoom theatre. It's all live. It's fine. So people in the audience are already saying Rob's on a boat. It's true. It's true. Fabulous. So audience members, please send us in your questions that you have for either the cast, the crew, or the wonderful Dr. Carla Della Gatta, please. We would love the opportunity, rather, to be able to answer some of them. So please get those questions in as soon as you can. As it comes right now, the audience is still flooding us with applause emojis. We've got hearts, we've got flowers, we've got some wonderful stars in their eyes emojis. It's all coming in. So consider yourselves covered in roses from our lovely audience this evening. Well done, everyone. Well done.
Rob, I have a couple of questions actually from earlier.
Oh, wonderful.
Just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So first of all was just a quick question about whether some of our actors tonight have been in previous shows. So I thought it'd be great for those who have. Do you want to give us a little shout out and let everyone know what show you've been in prior to this one?
It's a great question. I won't start or I'll be here all night.
I was in one. I was in King John. Me.
Awesome. And I was in The Merchant of Venice and Midsummer Night's Dream. I think about that one there.
I was in Henry V and As You Like It.
I was in Henry VI and
oh sorry.
Go.
Sorry, I was in Henry V.
I was Henry VI and Richard II, third.
One of them.
Yeah, I'm not good with numbers.
Stupid Richard, Henry.
I was in Midsummer Night's Dream with the lovely Amelia, and also in Julius Caesar.
And Daniel?
Oh, I was in Henry IV Part 1 as Bardolph.
Wonderful. Love it. And if you haven't seen our Midsummer Night's Dream, it's well worth checking out, if only for Amelia's incredible introduction to it on Black Lives Matter. So really do recommend that you go and check that out. It's obviously as relevant now as it was then, and it's a wonderful, wonderful piece of work. So thank you so much once again, Amelia, for that. Really amazing. Really amazing. Marvelous. Sarah, do we have any more questions from our lovely audience?
Yes, I have an interesting question here for Carla. So someone asked earlier, has there been a shift in popularity with this play over the ages that in any way coincides with the rise of different waves of feminism?
Ooh, that's hard to say. Most of my work is about American theater. And so in looking at the large Shakespeare theater companies, I would have to say overall no, because the United States has more Shakespeare festivals than Britain, than any other country in the world. And a lot of people get their local theater from Free Shakespeare in the Park, which companies tend to produce the ones that you've heard a lot more about. So this is considered to be, unfortunately, a risk because people may not laugh all the way through, and it's not a tragedy of character, which you'll see a few more of those before we get into the romances. So no, there hasn't been a number of them, but I think that during some troubled political times, and the further that we go, we're going to see some more. So because it's incredibly prescient to the time that we're in right now, for all those reasons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful answer. Thank you, Carla. Sarah, do we have any more questions?
Yes, I've got one here for Amelia. So the question is, what do you think Isabella does about the Duke's proposal at the end?
See, this one I wrapped my brain around, and I literally, there is a part of me that we had this discussion when we were discussing why she wants to be a nun in the first place. I feel personally, and this is just my take on it, I feel with Isabella, she knows that she can be, she understands that she has urges, human urges within her. But for her, unlike with Angelo, where he leans more into the law and order of things, for her, she leans more into the faith and helping people through mercy and justice and so on and so forth. Not justice, sorry, mercy and forgiveness and trying to rediscover their humanity. However, I don't think she would want to be with the Duke. However, I think the idea of being in a position where she can make actual change in the world would be an interesting prospect for her. So I'd like to think that she may have taken the Duke up on the offer, but according to her own rules and regulations, which would have been interesting to play with.
Love it. I would watch that sequel. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Sarah, do we have any more questions?
Yes. So I've got one here actually sort of related to that, which was, what was the thinking behind the ending? So doing the transfer of power to Isabella.
Yes. So the thinking was, the ending of this play is like super dodge, right? To put it at its mildest, and it's probably most Yorkshire. Lots happens that is difficult to accept, shall we say. We were very conscious of how prescient it was, how contemporary it feels. There were themes in this that feel, with the rise of fascism, and let's call it by its name, by the way, everyone, across the world, that we needed to call it what it is, and show how the things that happen in the play are happening now, and that should be alarming and that should scare you. But at the same time, honor it, I suppose, in a way as one of the comedies, in that it is designed, the dramatic intent is for it to have a happy ending. And so we were looking at the ending and we were like, well, despite the attempt, we're not entirely happy with it as a happy ending as it stands. So what would be the ending that would make us happy? And we were looking at the text, and we found this line about what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. And it felt like there was an exchange there. The Duke has spent most of the play as a monk, and Isabella was intending to go and become a nun. And so the idea of those two swapping places, I'll go and do the faith side of things, and I'd like you to take on the mantle of doing the justice side of things, felt like a compelling way to finish the play with a woman of colour in power, which, if you look at global politics right now. I believe there was a headline came out recently about countries with women as heads of state dealt with the coronavirus universally better than any of those with men as heads of state. And it felt like it kind of put a context a little bit on the Duke that hopefully made him a little bit more relatable, in that there's this social experiment, right? And the social experiment is, can Puritans force people to be better? And that's the kind of state experiment. And then the personal experiment is Angelo what he's cracked up to be? And so the Duke is testing someone that he expects to test. And then because everything spirals out of the control, this other person from a non or certainly a less privileged background than Angelo shows up in his life, who through a series of tests and kind of prods from the Duke, he can evaluate what kind of person she is and what her mettle is. And it felt like, if you look at it through that lens, her pleading on behalf of Angelo because he did not commit the crimes that he thought he'd committed, and therefore we can't charge him on like a legal basis, felt like someone rising up, extraordinarily rising above their own personal, I guess, vendetta or agenda, and looking at things by the rule of law so that it would maximize the amount of mercy distributed in all directions. And that felt like a quality that it would be great to have in leadership in what up until this point has been a total dystopia. And so hopefully it read kind of as a beacon of hope, and also that the end of the play isn't the end of the story, it's the start of the story. It's almost like, I guess, a prequel to that lovely sequel that Amelia was espousing. So that's my waffle on it. I'd love to hear from Nayia and Amelia, and I'd also love to hear from Carla on that.
So my take of the play is that we have a man of power doing a social experiment, a social test, and criticizing his own place in politics, what he has done and what he should have done. And in a way, he's testing himself. So being able to put another person on that place who would do a better job, I feel that's not the best thing to do. Who would give up power? But it's, yeah, sometimes you should go for it and do that.
Awesome. Amelia, how did it feel on the inside?
Kind of follow on from what everybody has said. It did feel like the next logical step. Like when you play it out in order of things, the Duke has been in power, 14 odd years, and it's taken this social experiment to kind of put some things into perspective. I'm not sure if the Duke would have fully handed over all of power, but I feel it was, for me, it was more symbolic of, I'd like you to stand by my side and advise me on how to be better. And in theory, I could probably still do that and be a nun, which would probably add more weight in the eyes of the people, realistically. But that'd be interesting to play with as a sequel.
I love it. I love it. I love there's such a place in these productions, I think because we do them so rapidly as well, for headcanon, right? Like everyone's got their own story, and it's I think it's fascinating. So Carla, we talked at the interval about you were particularly interested to see the ending.
Well, I agree with all of that. And in early productions, I mean, 50 years ago, the Duke was portrayed as a really great guy. And Isabella was so grateful and thankful. And at least he wasn't Angelo who had been pestering her, right? And so we're all supposed to be glad that he's returned and restored order. And now we see this quite differently. Not to the earlier question, not just with the rise of feminism, but understanding sexual assault and harassment and choices that people have to make. So I've typically viewed the Duke in a less gracious way, thinking that he's come back and said, hey, look at me, I solve problems, solely the ones that he created. And so my reward is that I also get a wife, right? You know, and she should be really thankful for it. Like, isn't this great? But marriage was transactional, and marriage was about that type of social belonging. And so maybe he does realize that someone else has been doing his job anyway. And so why not be married to that person? And who's proven to be a better governor, right, of morals and laws and justice than he has. And in this ending, when I saw the transfer of power, or the symbolic transfer, I noted that it was, you know, through some type of necklace or pendant, which is an object that is typically worth money. And it still felt like a monetary transaction and perfect for what the Duke would use to symbolize that. But Isabella's last kind of exclamation or shriek, I thought I was glad to hear that she got the final sound, if not the final word. So seeing this play doesn't bring me joy, but it certainly causes me to have to consider how we value certain things. And none of these marriages are that great. I mean, a bit of a disaster, right? And that's the understatement of the year, aside from the fact that the Duke should still be in his position. That's understatement number 2.
Absolutely. Couple of things on that. There was a wonderful thing that I read about how Angelo says, basically, get with me or I'll kill your brother. And then the Duke says, I've saved your brother, get with me. And it's basically the same thing, right? Like, it's like, come on, gratitude, please, which is like super creepy, super not cool. And then finally, just a shout out to Ben Crystal, who I had a chat with about this idea when it was kind of seedling. And it was actually his idea to have that idea of ending on Isabella taking that in-breath, so that, you know she's going to say something, but we just don't get to hear what it is. And I just thought that was so choice. So thank you for that, buddy. Much obliged. Sarah, any more questions from our wonderful audience?
Yes, so I've got one here for Swachata. Someone has asked they would love to know about the song that you sung as boy.
This is a Bengali song, Rabindra Sangeet, written by Rabindranath Tagore, and it's very popular in Bengali culture. Amar Praner Pore Chole Gelo Ke. This is basically, he has written this song after facing a couple of deaths in his family. So this is actually a very sad song. And because I was given the liberty to sing something in my own language, so I chose something sad, matching with the theme. So yeah.
Wonderful. It was a perfect choice. And, you know, that idea that he's written it after losing a couple of members of his family, which of course is Mariana's situation. It read so clearly. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, any more questions?
Yes, so I've got a couple more left. So one question that's actually come up a couple of times has been a question about the forehead crosses for the friars. So I'd like to know sort of the thought and idea behind that.
Sure thing. Emily, feel free to chip in on this if you so wish. Emily's been doing an amazing job fleshing out our like costume and props briefs from our R&D and turning them into hot fire. Essentially, I think the seed of the idea was Imperator Furiosa from Mad Max. And it started as a kind of way to just disguise the Duke more, right? Because like a hood, come on. So we just thought some kind of facial obscuring would be good. And then I can't remember, who was it that introduced the Ash Wednesday premise?
I think you were describing, I've not seen Mad Max, and you were describing this to me while sort of frantically sending me Google search images of Mad Max. And I went, so if you've got the crucifix, is that kind of an inversion of like the Ash Wednesday stuff? And it just kind of went from there. It went from me sort of making comments to try and understand the image you were describing. And yeah, from there, we just kind of fleshed out that idea, I think, from memory. It seems a long time ago, but I think it was today.
It does. Yeah, the time dilation effect on this show is very real. So bear with us. Yeah, no, I think that's how it happened. I think as well, just props to you, Emily. Props to you. for just continuing to push the costume side of things as well, because obviously we're facing a lot of limitations. Everybody's got to do all of this stuff from home with readily available materials that hopefully don't cost anything or otherwise very little. And I think the creativity that we saw last week as well in Troilus and Cressida, and then again this week, it just really adds a whole nother level to the show. So thank you so much for that.
That's really nice of you to say, but I do think it's worth sharing that praise with the cast, because it always depends on how willing the cast are to engage in arts and crafts. So thank you to our entire cast who really did engage with that, and to all of our casts who have. So yeah, sharing that praise around, I think is fair.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to do the work at the end to bring it to life, and you all really did. So thank you so much for that. Sarah, any more questions?
Yes, I've got probably time for one more left. So this question was, what do you think of Lucio's accusations of Duke's character? Do you think they are valid?
Interesting. Carla, I'd love to start with you.
Actually, I think we should start with Lucio, because he likes
Okay.
So I think he would like to respond to this question.
Oh, definitely. I definitely want to hear from Lucio. Go for it, Kevin.
I don't know, actually. One thing that I read an essay, a really beautiful, like, feminist or queer essay about Measure for Measure before, when I found out I was going to do it with y'all. And there's one theory that that the Duke is doing all of this in order to try to force Angelo into a position to be able to take advantage of him, because the Duke is in love with Angelo. Because the theory posits that the Duke is modeled after King James, who was known to have all these dalliances with men. And I thought that was a way that really made this play make sense. And also the theory posited that that Lucio was a former favorite of the Duke, that they actually had a relationship together. So there was like this whole kind of like all of these facets to what I was working with that were there in my head when I came into the process. And then the way the concept that you gave me, it was fantastic, because it just like smashed right into my concept, and I was able to just play it like it was on the page, but I had all this stuff kind of like in my imagination that was already there. So I don't know if it's true or not.
I feel like it's one of the advantages of this play, and like these later plays especially, that it doesn't matter in a way. It's like, if it's true to you, then it's true. And I think that's a really fascinating exploration, I should say. Is that essay available online?
Yeah, well, it's through JSTOR, but right now on JSTOR, you can sign up for 100 free articles, because they're doing that throughout the pandemic. But I think it's by Carolyn Taylor.
Fabulous. If you were able to get me the link, I'd love to share that with our followers.
I will.
On
It's a
really
loved that essay. It was great.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Kevin. Great answer.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Marvelous. And Sarah, is that all we have time for?
Yes, I think so.
Marvelous. In which case, thank you all so much for sticking with us till the bitter end. We always massively appreciate it. This has been Shakespeare's Measure for Measure. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to tip your actors, please consider making a donation to our Patreon. You can do so monthly for as little as something like £1.20 a month, I think it is. Or you can make a one-off donation by simply donating the amount that you would like to give, and then immediately cancelling your subscription thereafter. So do feel free to do that. Similarly, if you would love to get some merchandise to commemorate your experience here tonight, you can do that on our Redbubble store. There's a link in the description. So thank you all so much for joining us, and please join us again next week for Sarah. Is it Othello? It's only Othello. Come and join us next week for Othello. Can't wait. See you then.